It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Andy, Alex, and Jason are here. The whole gang's in town. We're going to talk about the public beta. Where is it? I want to use it. We think it's close. We'll also talk about rumors about a new color for the iPhone 17 and why the foldable might be the thing. It's all coming up next on MacBreak Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 982, recorded Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. Every day I'm scrobblin'. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show where we cover the latest Apple news. And yes, we're a little late, but that's so we could cover the latest Apple news. Jason Snell is installing the developer beta 4 of now. macOS 26.
Possibly the public beta. We don't know. But I think all signs point to, unless there's something catastrophic in here that is going to prevent me from restarting. Yeah, I think so. I think that.
Well, give us an alert. Do you have one of those air horns? You can go,
yeah, I could do that. I've got a little button that makes that sound. So when we're up and running, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, I am using an auxiliary computer to be on the show. So it's good to be here.
An auxiliary computer.
Yes.
Apple IIc.
Oh, Fancy Man has two computers.
He has more than one.
And
he is at sixcolors.com.
Yes, hello.
Also here, Andy Anatko from I have no idea how to spell it.com. Hello, Andrew.
Hey there, ho there.
All in black. That means it's cooling off in northern New England.
Yes.
Southern New England.
Only we have a double. It's kind of funny because they overcompensate the library. I don't know if they have an old zone system. So the reference librarians are literally wearing sweaters because AC in their zone is so high. So it's weird to come off the street wow, and then seeing someone who's ready for polar excursions. So
you look comfortable. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
You're comfortable. That's the main thing. And Mr. Alexander Lindsay from officehours.global. Hello.
Good. I'm back from the travels.
Yes, back in the studio.
Yeah.
So, I guess this is the question.
My computer's we are in beta.
Are y'all ready for this?
Developer beta.
We're really excited.
So this is, it's exciting because this may be it. This may be the public beta as well. Yes.
All right.
Hold your applause, everybody.
All right. And I believe that was the first question I had is, where the hell is the public beta? We got to get it in July. And if my calculations are correct, that gives us 8 more days, 9 more days.
I suspect that, we'll do this. We pretty much know that Apple wants to release a developer beta before the public beta.
Sorry. Late air horn. I
just
apologize.
say it and it happens. Because it's best practices, because what you want to do is make sure that there isn't a real showstopper.
So the fact that you're getting a new developer beta, developer 4,
it would suggest to me that maybe there was something in developer beta 3 that they had to talk about, and we're we don't want to go out with that. And who knows whether that was something cosmetic, or whether it was something very technical. But the fact that we've got another set, they only said by July, and so Mark Gurman suggested it might be as early as the 23rd, which is as we're recording this tomorrow. And it could be that's only a day for the dev beta astronauts to try it out and see if it explodes or not. But of course, the people inside Apple are also testing these builds. Right. So anyway, we are on the cusp of that. And I realize a lot of our viewership is so technical already that they're probably already running the dev betas. But I think public beta is a milestone because it is Apple basically saying to anyone who's interested, you can get the new macOS, iOS, iPadOS. It's going to be okay. And the dev betas don't say that. Dev betas are you're taking your life into your own hands. But public beta, this is Apple saying, yeah, you go ahead. If you are curious about how this is going, there are going to be some bugs, but they're opening the floodgates. So I think it is it's not the same milestone as shipping, but it's a big milestone.
I think restarting your Messages app. That's usually the number one thing I see in the beta is Messages gets caught up, stuck somewhere, and you're I'll just restart.
Oh man, Yeah, often iCloud gets confused.
Usually the dev beta is the first time you find out if that app that you love and rely on that hasn't been updated in 3 years is still going to work or not. Yeah. That's usually the cost of switching over to the dev beta, the first public beta.
So Dr. Do in our Club Twit Discord has posted his screenshot of iPad OS 26 Beta 4 ready to go, but note its size, 1.51 gigs. That's small.
Yeah, I mean they do diff betas.
So it might not be a big shift from beta 3, is I guess.
My cursory, I was looking at iPad earlier right before we started recording, and it doesn't appear that different, which as a writer who takes screenshots of this stuff, I love to see that, because you take a bunch of screenshots illustrating features of the beta and then they change the UI and you're like, more work for me then. And this does not seem like they made any big radical changes, but I don't know. It's early yet. We're only, I think, about an hour as we're recording into these betas being available. So people are still kind of figuring it out.
So would you say, I'm sitting here wondering, should I? No. I haven't done any of the developer betas. Wait till the public beta, which could be sometime this week.
And if we're talking about like, I am wary, but I'm tempted by the public beta, which is a great phrase.
That's me.
That's that Squeeze song,
public
right?
Beta curious.
By the public beta. That's it. I think I'm always the guy who's like, be careful and back up your stuff. And yeah. But I will tell you, I've been using all of it since Dev Beta 1, and it works fine for me. I dread putting betas on my iPad and my Mac because I use those so much. Right. I will say the iPhone betas, it's going to kill your battery life. I mean, it is. If you really
that's the last thing they optimize for.
If you're not carrying around a battery all day, or maybe even if you are, like it shoots your battery life. That it makes your phone hot and it shoots your battery life. But like my iPad experience has been great on the beta, even with all the changes they made with all the windowing and all of that. It works great. I haven't had any major issues. Every now and then I restart it, or the Windows server crashes and you open it back up, you unlock it again, and then it's fine again. I would say entirely usable. And on the Mac, not only would I say that it's very usable, and we can quibble about like what the interface looks like, because the interface is a little different and weird, but there's so many productivity benefits on the Mac with the new stuff that's in Spotlight and the new stuff in Shortcuts and some of the stuff they're doing in the menu bar, that I feel like if you're a power user, it's probably worth doing the public beta, just because even if things are a little bit weird, it's usable, and it's a great Tahoe is going to be a great update for longtime Mac users. It really is, because I mean, it's funny, like they did all these visual changes that feel more like they belong on iOS than they do on the Mac. On the Mac, it's a little awkward, but on the productivity side, the Mac comes out way ahead in this cycle.
Nice. Dr. Do says it is a 10 gigabyte update for his iPhone. So a little larger, 3 gigabytes for macOS. I don't know. I mean, we're reading tea leaves at this point, so I'm just going to stop there and say maybe we should wait and see. And I will download it. I was hoping to do it by today, because that would seem like. But maybe by next week. Oh, we'll have.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's no public beta yet, but assuming it comes out tomorrow, you could take your time, see how everybody's reacting to it.
Yeah, always wait.
Report back next week. Yeah.
Alex Lindsay's rule. I like your rule, Alex, which is don't download the first update to the release. Download the update that fixes the first update to the release.
I thought Alex's rule was, okay, everybody, it's now safe to download Sequoia.
That's what I was going to say.
Alex is the Lindsay's rule. I was like, sometime this summer, I think I'm going to update this Sequoia.
Yeah.
So it's I'm getting ready to move forward. But now that the dust has settled on that one, but I think that on a couple of machines, I'm already starting to put the beta on, mostly because I need it for some. Again, the other side of this is that I have software that only works on the newest stuff. so you have a handful of computers that need to go up. So we're seeing a little bit of both, but I still have a lot of machines on some.
On Monday, apparently, according to Mac Rumors, Apple accidentally pushed the Tahoe public beta to some users and then yanked it back.
Yeah, and it was weird too, because it was like people without Rosetta installed that got it. I don't know. I think they're loading the chambers here, right? Like I think they're, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen.
Which it could be Russian roulette. You know, you don't. Depends which chambers they load.
Or fly. I've been watching too many submarine movies, and like everybody, we're filling the
torpedo tubes.
Torpedo tubes, exactly
yes.
right. But that doesn't mean that if there isn't a showstopper, they will pull back because they will not. If they are not confident in the public beta, they won't release it, and that will go for the rest of this period. Like the public beta trails the developer beta for a reason, which is people on the developer beta are the ones who are going to get burned if there's a showstopper, and that's the price we take for being on that one.
Yeah. Don't be in a hurry. Everything will happen in its time, all in good time.
And if you're like Alex, especially being careful. If you've got a second phone around, if you've got another iPad around, or one that's a device that's mission critical and one that's not. I mean, the prudent thing to do, if you've got a desktop that you do all your work on and a laptop that you just mess around on, install macOS on the laptop, right? Like do that. That's a nice, safe way to approach this, where you get to try it out without risking breaking your stuff.
Well, and the funny thing is, for me, I'm super aggressive about my iPad and my phone. Like I'm like, I just newest stuff, just kind of plow through that. It's my work computer that I'm kind of like, well, I'll be really bummed if something.
It's priorities.
There's an obvious hierarchy here. There's like I've got like the dev betas on my iPhone, which is a secondary phone. I'm not going to install anything on my iPad until the first public beta. I'm excited. I'm going to jump the gun there because of all the extra features, and I'm not installing anything on the MacBook until it's actual Golden Master. So it's like I can do without this for an entire year if I had to. I can do without the iPad or reduce performance for a few weeks maybe before it become annoying, but my MacBook is my MacBook.
I don't know if I should repeat this, but the Discord is telling me that Ozzy Osbourne just passed. I just thought I'd pass that along. I know. Just did his last performance last week. Of course, suffering from Parkinson's. The man who invented heavy metal. There's a very good documentary on him on YouTube, which is available for free on YouTube. I highly recommend. All right, we'll move on. Just thought I'd mention that. Let's talk. There's so many little tiny stories. For instance, TSMC, which makes Apple Silicon in Taiwan, says U.S. chip production may soon only be 3 years behind Taiwan. This is something Apple and the president have been pushing really hard for. Not just the current president, but the previous president with the CHIPS Act. They really want Apple to move its chip production back to the U.S. TSMC is working to build 2 plants in Arizona, and they've hit the accelerator pedal. Fab 21, which we had thought would be making legacy nodes, will be accelerated by several quarters. Not clear. After completion, TSMC chairman C.C. Wei said 30% of our 2 nanometer and more advanced chip capacity will be located in Arizona. That's a big deal.
Are they talking about actual production capacity or?
Well, 30% of the 2 nanometer is production level, right? 5% or 1% wouldn't be, but 30%, that's almost a third of their highest end chips. The second Arizona plant, he said, or it was said, was ready for 3 nanometer by 2028, but they're accelerating it, which makes sense given the global situation.
And these are all great press releases too. I mean,
well, that's the problem
is that you don't. We can say all this stuff, and no one's going to remember that you said it now. Like you're going to get to 2026 or 2027, and we're still working on it. And there's a couple little things or whatever. So, but I think that even if they, at this point, when you look at the cost of the tariffs, if there's a way to push the tariffs off, or if there's a way to push some of those things off, even if it cost you $1 billion. Literally,
it's
Apple
worth it.
Could push $1 billion into the ground and unsuccessfully, and it would be cheaper than paying for the tariffs. And so for all of us, so I think that they can try really hard here. It doesn't. It'd be great if they actually succeed, but even if they didn't succeed, it would delay, other things that would be more expensive. This is just a math problem.
I'm just checking to see where the Foxconn plant in Wisconsin that was going to be built in 2017 is. Have they broken ground? Maybe.
They made a big slab.
Yeah.
A huge slab.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, this is coming from a story that appeared in Nikkei, and it's just thin on actual details. Like, that could mean they thought they'd get the land cleared a year after where it is right now, but boy, that land is cleared. That doesn't necessarily mean that like they are that much closer to actually getting chips ready. I keep wondering exactly what the long range strategy is. Is TSMC actually thinking it actually makes perfect financial sense for us to, now that we have this extra like stick added to the stick and carrot, it makes sense for us to actually do a lot more manufacturing in the United States? Or is it, okay, we are betting that these tariffs and these other conditions are going to persist, and that there isn't going to be a turnaround that will make us glad that we didn't actually irreversibly commit to this before we actually had to.
Yeah. So we'll just watch with interest, but I can see why there's a lot of incentive to do it, to get it, to rush it along as fast as they possibly can.
Yeah, because it's not just tariffs. It's having lots of customers in the United States and being able to continue to serve their needs.
And I mean, we talked about this about Apple in China and trying to redistribute some of its, before the Trump administration, to redistribute some of its manufacturing to other countries, and using they used COVID as an excuse and all of that. This is that double thing where it's not just because the Trump administration and really before them, the Biden administration and Congress with the CHIPS Act wanted more chip infrastructure in the U.S., because the failure of Intel has really kind of hosed the American chip industry, right? So this does, though, also mean that all the eggs aren't in the factories in Taiwan in case something happens in Taiwan. I mean, that's the bottom line, and nobody wants that to happen. But it is important to spread the chip capacity around the world and not just have it in one little island.
Yeah. Jon Prosser is being sued by Apple, YouTuber and famous Apple leaker. Earlier this year, he shared videos of iOS. It wasn't even named iOS 26 yet, but he showed what it was to look like. Apple says, and he denies, I should point out, that Prosser paid somebody, a guy named Michael Ramaciotti, to, when his roommate was away, his roommate worked for Apple, Ethan Lipnick, when his roommate was away, unlock his roommate's phone, do a FaceTime call with Prosser, and show him what was running on the Apple-owned iPhone. According to the lawsuit, they planned access to Lipnick's phone, first acquiring his password, then using location tracking to determine when he'd be gone for enough time for them to do this. And of course, the journalistic sin, if it really happened, would be offering Ramaciotti money for this. Lipnick was fired. Apple fired him. Apple says his phone contained a significant amount of additional Apple trade secret information that has not yet been publicly disclosed.
Yeah.
Apple filed the lawsuit to request an injunction against further disclosure. Prosser says, that's not how things went down on my end. Looking forward to being able to speak to Apple about it. Well, I think you will be. I think you will be speaking to Apple. So we don't know what the truth of it is. But it's a big deal for Apple to sue a leaker. On the other hand, if Prosser did what Apple says he did, it is crossing the journalistic. It's beyond the pale. Yes, journalists. Yes.
Unquestionably, yes. There are two things. If the allegations are true, there are two things that you're not supposed to do. One is pay for this kind of information. Two is entice somebody to break rules or break the law in order to give you information. If
they come in over the transom, you can use it.
If this would be completely clean if somebody said, "Hey, I've got a screen capture of what Apple's next UI is," and they just would you like to see it?
Right. That happens all the time.
That happens all the time. Then you have the problem of, okay, well, why should I trust you? Why should I believe this is authentic? A, B, C, D. But the biggest risk is that you're going to look really stupid when it turns out that you fell for something. But that would be completely legal. There are gray areas in between, but no, you don't pay for leaks, and you do not entice somebody to do something that is illegal or improper.
Yeah, that was in journalism school. We had to take a law class, so your First Amendment law, and one of the top ones is inducement to breaking laws is not cool. So the idea that you are paying for sources is not general. I mean, there are other parts of the world where that is more common, but it's the inducement, right? It's the idea that I want you to do this for me. It's saying, hey, somebody in government, I will pay you to give me the Pentagon Papers, versus I'm sitting at my desk and the Pentagon Papers come over the transom. Those are different. And if you want to boil it down, I don't like to see big tech companies suing people in the media, because I think the point of this lawsuit is to scare people at Apple and to scare people who write about Apple. I think that's why they do this, is to remind their employees about hygiene for carrying, alphas of unreleased and unannounced products on their person or at their house, and being, kind of sloppy about that. And also for people who want to report about secrets of Apple to make them a little more scared. I think that's absolutely why they're doing it. But if you boil it down, so, and I don't love Prosser, and I don't like his shtick, and I don't like his tone and all that, but whatever, he has an audience and it's fine. And this was a big scoop. But like, if the way this story went down is that Prosser said, hey, I'll give you money if you break into your friend's phone. I mean, the act, again, I'm not a lawyer, but like, it feels like the friend committed a criminal act. I don't know if Jon Prosser did or not. It depends on what the law is. But unauthorized access to someone else's device is essentially, it's computer hacking, right? It is a crime. It's got to be a crime of some sort.
In fact, they are suing him with the Computer Fraud Act.
Right.
But
I wonder about criminal charges as well. If they're
I don't see any criminal. This is a civil suit.
This is a civil suit, but I also wonder if you bandy about the criminal charges in order to get people to respond to your other litigation. But it's not. That's like Andy said. It's not great, especially if you think about the fact that this was not his phone. It was his friend, roommate, whatever phone, and he was enticed. Was he enticed to break into it in order to reveal secrets? It's not good.
Also, if you're trying to protect your friend with your roommate with the information, you'd say, well, when he was gone, we had somebody else break into his phone, when maybe he just opened his phone.
That's also possible.
You're like,
well, they wasted no time firing Lipnick.
Yeah.
Lipnick also apparently did not inform them once he realized what had happened.
Yeah.
In fact, they were informed by an anonymous email. Here's this is
my favorite. This is my favorite tidbit in the entire thing, because somebody emailed Apple and said, "Hey, Jon Prosser showed me a video of your next operating system, and I recognized that it's Lipnick's apartment." What? How do they? How? What?
So somebody who knows him, who has been to the apartment, ratted him out.
Yeah, or
probably another Apple employee, right? I mean,
yeah, but why is Jon Prosser showing? I mean, one possible way is that Jon Prosser has Apple sources where he's like, "Look, you didn't give this to me, but can you show me that this is legit?" And they might say yes or no, but they might also be like, "Oh, that's Lipnick. I'm going to get, I'm going to turn him in." I don't know. It's we don't know everything. There's a lot of question marks here. Yeah.
Nobody at Apple wants to be near somebody who's leaking. Like it is like you're now fissionable. Like, and what's interesting if you know anybody at Apple, they're kind of willfully not interested in anything they're not working on, because they don't want to have information. They don't want to have random information that's going to get them in trouble, that isn't helping them move forward.
Prosser's tweet also isn't exactly a denial. It's a kind of he says it didn't go down that way.
Yeah, I think if I was looking at this, if I was a prosecutor, I'd be looking at it going, okay, here's the deal. The guy had his roommate show him the information. They traded notes. He posted it, and then they made up something that said that somebody else broke into something else. I mean, like that's the simplest line here, not the complicated thing that when he said also go down this way, it probably didn't go down that way.
Apple security interviewed Ramachandran.
Yeah, you think?
And in the interview, Ramachandran admitted what happened, said Prosser had proposed the scheme and, quote, promised to find out a way for me to get payment. But this is solely the testimony of this other guy.
Yeah.
So Apple's real interest, I think, is the injunction. They don't want, if there is more information, they don't want that to leak out. Apple fears, it says in the pleading, that defendants will continue to misuse its trade secret absent judicial information. So that's really what the lawsuit is all about. Mm-hmm. And they do say they defend Trade Secrets Act, DTSA, and the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, CFAA. The court has jurisdiction under these federal laws. So Ramachandran is a product analyst and video editor at NTFTW. I don't know who that is. So, I think that the truth may or may not come out on this one. It's a pretty ugly thing all around.
And it doesn't matter because, they're going to argue for legal reasons that there's potential future harm that needs to be enjoined here. But like I said earlier, they did this to scare Apple employees.
Oh, it's clear.
And they did this to scare people who report leaks about Apple.
Well,
that's why they did it. And job done, I think.
I absolutely agree on the first point because there's never any reason for them to overlook an excuse to once again drill into these people's heads that we do not take this lightly. We believe this to be a sin against not just our rules but our culture, and so we investigate. We have people who will figure these things out. I do think it's less of a warning of journalists in general, so long more of a just a look. More just saying, look, this is not the Wild West. If you cross a line, we will jump on you. There's been lots of leaks over the years that have gone without lawsuits, without legal action. Just again, some very, very public firings, some comments from Tim Cook to the masses that has gone leaked out, of course. But I don't think that they're trying to say, look, if you get aligned to some good information that we haven't published yet, we're not trying to intimidate. They're not trying to intimidate people into not publishing it. They would love it if they didn't. But so long, don't pay people people for the information. Don't entice people to break Apple rules or worse, the law to do it.
They do say in this suit, as a direct and proximate result of defendants' conduct, Apple has suffered and continues to suffer monetary and non-monetary injury and harm in an amount to be proven at trial. I don't think he's going to get billions from Prosser, but these include Apple's lost profits from the unauthorized disclosure of its trade secret information, its investigation costs, its attorney fees, and other costs and expenses.
I wish them luck proving that there's actual damage in leaking some information in advance. I think Apple having to prove somehow
I'd love
that
to see the
surprises have a tangible value, but it doesn't. I mean, the reason I say that it's about a chilling effect is it serves as a reminder to employees to tighten up their stuff, and to people who report about the company to not do stuff like induce people to break into phones. Like, these are good reminders that you can do by filing a lawsuit.
They say they lost at least $5,000. That's in this.
Sure. But I mean, just the issue is that if he, especially if there's any chance that he could get into he has to lawyer up if there's any chance that he's going to go into a criminal lawsuit. You can't just go into a civil lawsuit without really having the best lawyers, because the advantage of the civil lawsuit is there's no Fifth Amendment. so you can just ask lots of questions,
right? And
they can't defend themselves.
And the standards for proof are lower as well, right?
And that's all admissible in your criminal case. So the issue, if as long as there's not a criminal case hanging over you, there's no way for you to protect yourself. And so the thing is that they can dig into that. But the bottom line is, him just defending himself is going to be $50,000 to $100,000. Like just
at least
staying out of the hole starts. They're not going to, if they somehow get him to pay their legal fees, even if they don't do anything else, if Apple just says you have to pay our legal fees for that as well, he's going to be $500,000 in the hole without any damages, and beyond that.
And I mean, as a son of a lawyer, you might have a better insight into this than anybody else, but it's certainly not a slap suit. Okay, it's not. We're not suing him just to basically make him have to spend money to defend it. But even so, defending against this suit has got to cost us a lot of money. Do you think that Apple is going to simply say, at some point say pay a certain fine that we think is admit wrongdoing, sin no more, pay a certain fine that we will regard as the photocopying charges for this, and we'll let you off? Or is it going to be, no, we're going to go for everything?
Settlements happen a lot. Like, hey, if you agree not to do this again, it does, because taking it to court is, it's unpredictable as well. Even no matter what you do, once you go to court, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, like a lot of, the best team in football, the worst team in football can always beat the best team in football. And so, like in the right, with the right circumstances, same thing with a law case, so you don't want to take it to court. So there could be some kind of settlement that he's going to be out some money. But I think what they really wanted to do is stop doing that. And to Jason's point, they really want their employees to be more careful about what they're, whether they gave it to them or talked about it or whatever, and what happens is I think that Apple doesn't want to, they don't want to be seen as the bad person. So if you're in the gray area of you had a loose conversation, you're not going to get yourself sued. But as soon as you step a little bit past that gray area into an area where there's a clear shot, like they're gonna go after you, because it makes them crazy. Like, it makes every company crazy when people are sharing what they're trying to work on.
Makes Apple crazier than anybody, of course.
Yeah. Because they're admittedly, Apple oftentimes is way ahead of everybody else, and they don't want other people thinking about those things until they've done the thing, right?
But really, I mean, did they really get harmed by what Prosser published? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's why if they do go forward with this, I would love to see, assuming that Prosser's lawyers are good and they're funded enough to actually fight this. I would love to see the discovery process. How hey, Apple, calculate for us and show us documentation of how you value certain bits of information and how you monetize different features. I don't think that Apple's going to be interested in that part of the process at all.
Plus, it sounds like this all hinges on Ramachandran's testimony. Like, that's who said Prosser paid me. There's probably, unless there's a check, unless there's a large payment going into his bank account.
It puts the screws to Prosser a little bit more to get him to agree. I mean, the classic example here is the Think Secret suit that they did 15, 20 years ago, where there was a website that Apple sued, and basically as part of the settlement, that website shut down, and that guy said, I will never do this again, and he disappeared. And that will probably be the case here. I will say, for people who are wondering, I talked to people at Apple, people have rogue, future OSs on devices at home all the time. This is common, and it's not like he secreted this thing out of Apple. It's common, and there is a device hygiene kind of thing you need to do. And what happened here is it was somebody with access to the guy's house who knew his passcode, and that's the reminder to Apple employees is not, don't be a leaker, although I guess that's implied, but it's that sort of tighten up your own security, that you don't show this to your friends, you don't let your friends know your passcode, you use a different passcode on this stuff, and if you can't secure it, don't take it home. But they do take it home, and that's allowed. They just have to be smart about it.
That's why I feel sad about the whole story, that if in one version of this, the Apple employee is completely innocent of just being, of everything except for just being a little bit careless. And we can all be, especially if they've been with the company for a long time, if they've been following procedures for a long time, there's that thing where, when you keep breaking rules for so long that without any consequences, eventually you forget that this is actually a rule that you're breaking, and that's how security lapses happen. So it makes me sad that they did something that was a very, very simple mistake to make. However, it was, when you're working for Apple, a fatal mistake for your job.
Peter Moore is saying in our YouTube chat and I didn't know this, the irony is that Prosser wasn't doing any more leaking, instead concentrating on documentaries, but this was too juicy for him to pass up. I think if Prosser's thinking of getting out of the leak business, this might be exactly the impetus he needs.
Good time.
There's so many though. How many movies are there of I'm just getting out, and then there's okay, one more job.
Too good.
Yeah. And I don't know if having to take screen captures of what the future looked like was really worth. I don't know.
Yeah, in March, no less. I mean,
you're just okay.
And it's all changed anyway. It doesn't look anything like that anymore. So, nice job. All right. Well, I think everybody on this panel will. I've been several times offered leaks, which I've always said no thanks. because we don't really deal in leaks. I let the pros handle that. You might be in a different situation, Jason. I don't know, or Andy. Right?
No, I mean I don't really deal in it either. I sometimes will get like hints about stuff that's going on. It's useful as background information to understand what's going on. But my job is also not to break that stuff, and it's not a game I want to be in.
Yeah, to me, it's not interesting because either if you get something like that, either it's gonna happen, in which case you'll know about it anyway. It's not going to change anybody's perception or anybody's planning in any way, or it's not true, either because it's someone who's faking something up, or because it's just something that Apple is thinking about doing and they haven't decided yet. And you look kind of silly unless you're a news site that does like 8 actual pieces of news a day. You can say, oh well, I got this. Don't know if it means anything, but on to the next thing. It's just not what I'm interested in. And yeah, I mean, I bet that I'm kind of like Jason in that you hear things and things kind of float your way, but they're generally not like, in my case, they're not like explosive. Oh, I bet you want to know that there's a new banana-shaped phone that's coming out at the end of the year. I said, well, no, actually, I don't. How did you know? How do you know that? It's hard
to vet it. It's and again, not necessary to our business. We don't trade in the latest breaking news.
It's more like I don't have the resources to prosecute something like that to the extent. Like again, if in the famous situation with Gizmodo's iPhone 5, that if I had it, it's like I would need to line up a whole bunch of industrial designers and engineers to look at this and tell me what is interesting about this phone other than the shape. Because if all you're doing is showing people, hey, here's what it looks like, is that really worth any of the trouble and any of the risks you're going to, or the lawyers that you would have had to have hired before you accepted such an offer to begin with? Right. So and you can't really win because actually I remember at the time Gizmodo's publisher was like using me as an example. Oh well, Andy Ihnatko is like
really? That's funny.
Oh yeah. Well, because I think I wrote a blog post at the time that basically said kind of like what I'm saying, that I'm just not interested in that when I get information like that.
Andy's a good guy.
No, actually, it was worth it. Well, see, because someone like Andy Ihnatko, he doesn't publish stuff like that because he doesn't want to get Apple angry. And I was like, no. Because I'm representing the Chicago Sun-Times, and I don't want to get them sued for several $1 million for buying a piece of absolutely stolen property, especially when anyway, it was that example was super funny because there was a way you could have done it that was completely legal, but you're a dope and you decided to just say, oh sure, I'll give you a few $1,000s for an obviously stolen iPhone, not like well, I'm gonna anyway. It was hysterically funny, and it only
took about 5 years before Gizmodo got invited back to Apple events again. So it's not.
Yeah,
they were in timeout for a few years. That's all. All right, we got to take a break. We come back, more to talk about. Lots more, some interesting stuff, including the Apple AI saga continues, and a victory in the UK. But first, a word from our sponsor. You're watching MacBreak Weekly with Andy Ihnatko, Alex Lindsay, and Jason Snell. Great to have you here today. Our show this week brought to you by ZocDoc. As soon as I say that, I bet you in the back of your head you go, oh, remember that doctor's appointment you were supposed to make a while ago? Yeah, that one. The one you meant to book and completely forgot about until now. You know that one? How about when's the last time you got your teeth cleaned? Your dentist appointment for your, twice a year cleaning? How's that going? Your annual checkup that's been 3 years in the making, a dermatology visit for that mole, it keeps getting bigger. Or the rash you sent to, AI for diagnosis, but you still haven't really asked the doctor about. This might be a good time to talk to a doc at ZocDoc. Why not book it today? ZocDoc, actually, they're the way you can find the right doctor right now. Easily. It's all online. And in many cases, you can even book an appointment before the end of this ad read. So there's no excuse for putting it off. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. With ZocDoc, you can book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors. across every specialty, not just MDs, but mental health, dental health, primary care, urgent care. I've used ZocDoc to find gerontologists for my folks. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, who are located nearby, and who are a good fit for any medical you may have. But my favorite feature of ZocDoc, hundreds of real, verified patient reviews that you can really trust, which help you find the kind of doctor, the type of doctor you're looking for, the kind of care, the kind of support you're looking for, whether it's good bedside manners or short wait times to doctors with the best listening skills, or some of us just want a doctor who will tell us what to do. No on one hand or the other hand, just say what to do. It's up to you, but the reviews will help you find the right doctor. And once you find them, you can see their actual appointment openings, choose a time slot that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. The good news is appointments made through ZocDoc happen fast. One of the reasons we put it off is because, it won't be this week anyway. It might be not this month anyway. No, ZocDoc appointments typically happen within 24 to 72 hours of booking. Not enough time to get cold feet. You're going to go right in there. Most often than not, you can even get same-day appointments. Trust me, that's the way to do it. I use it. You should use it too. Stop putting off those doctor appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/MacBreak to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/MacBreak. ZocDoc.com/MacBreak. We thank them so much for their support of MacBreak Weekly. I like it because I can look up doctors that take Medicare, which, as an old person, makes me very happy. So, the UK has backed down. Remember this whole kerfuffle with the Snoopers Charter, where the UK said, Apple, you have to give us clear text from messages. Apple said, well, in that case, we are taking back our advanced protection feature from everybody in the UK. Well, now with some more pressure, especially tariff pressure from the administration, Sir Keir Starmer's government is seeking a way out of a clash with the Trump administration over the UK's demand that Apple provide it with access to secure customer data. This is from the Financial Times, who quote two senior British officials. That's good news.
I think we saw that coming. It just
I guess. We knew that Apple would withdraw, but for the UK to say, okay, never mind.
Yes.
Countries don't usually do that.
Yeah, they have a good quote here. This is something that the vice president is very annoyed about and which needs to be resolved. The Home Office. You don't want to
piss off J.D. Vance, man.
Oh my God! You get into his Moriarty-like steel trap of a cat and mouse mind. The Home Office is basically going to have to back down.
Wow!
But imagine being done in a posh accent.
I do suspect that the one of the threats, the strongest threat, is tariffs, right?
Oh, there's all kinds of things. I mean, it's also, how the Five Eyes interact with each other, there's just so many things that are going on here that we can say, well, especially when you're talking about, because what this is security, right, of people's data.
Well, and the Brits wanted to see American data as well as UK
right,
citizens.
and so that's a Five Eyes problem, that's
right.
that's the NSA saying, hey, how about we just cut you off? If you're gonna, and I'm sure that there were a lot of private when we think about why are they doing this in public? I'm sure there were a lot of private conversations when people said, well, we're going to do what we're going to do, and they said, okay, well, how about we do this? And this is still, from a scale perspective, the UK is a little smaller, so it's not a fair fight. So if the United States decides they don't want to play anymore, I don't think it might be tariffs, but I bet you it's intelligence. I bet you there's a Five Eyes conversation going on about you can't take our data.
In fact, I remember Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, saying, we have an agreement with the UK that they won't do this. So
that's part of that.
That's problematic. So nobody told Parliament, apparently. Anyway, good news. But meanwhile, Canada is now looking at a new bill that would, in fact, do the same thing. So encryption is under attack everywhere. and end-to-end encryption particularly. And I think it's important.
What's interesting about it is you have part of it, which is that there's an obvious security problem for Americans if we're compromised. But at the same time, you have the FBI. So you have you have one side of the country going, hey, you can't touch that, and the FBI really wants to get into all of that data. And so sometimes when you look at these things, that it's really hard to tell who wants what, and it's not always the same people even in our own government.
Yeah, and it's tough because now they're trying to backdoor their way into it with age restrictions, and the EU is actually pilot testing age verification apps, which would basically it would make it doubly difficult because now you're basically making it easier to identify everybody who is committing traffic to the internet. And that's in itself a problem. It doesn't affect encryption so much, but once again, it's a grinding down of privacy in such a way that there won't be one huge battle. It's the slow boring of hard boards.
Yeah. If you are a Canadian citizen and you want to write your, what do they call them, member of parliament, your representatives in government, it's Bill C2, Canada's Bill C2, which expands encryption and surveillance powers. It's aimed at enhancing border and national security, but Matthias Fau, who runs Tutanota, says the Strong Borders Act could quietly empower Canadian authorities with sweeping surveillance capabilities, including breaking end-to-end encryption. So it's currently under consideration. Something to keep in mind. It appears to attack encryption, so something to keep in mind. Let's see. What else is going on in the world? Well, the new emoji game is here. Are you excited? It was Emoji Day last week. We forgot to celebrate.
You forgot to celebrate. I had an emoji dunking booth. We had an emoji bouncy castle.
There are new emojis in the iOS 26 beta. You're getting... Well, there's a Bigfoot, which I've needed in my emojis for some time. A trombone.
Just to be clear, let's not conflate these issues. These are not in the iOS 26 beta. In fact, you probably won't see these until like 26.1 or 0.2.
Oh, sorry. We don't get them yet.
No,
what are they beta testing these? What's the deal?
Well, these are they get finalized by the Unicode consortium, and then what happens is Apple has their artists build new emoji art, and they put it in, and they usually wait until the 0.1 or the 0.2, so that I think it's usually 0.1, so that it's actually a spur to get people to update their devices. To the latest OS, because you can't see those emoji until you update, and it has been very successful for them over the last 5 years to do an emoji update and get everybody who's lingering behind to finally update to the new OS.
So the Unicode consortium has proposed these new emoji. They aren't officially ratified until the fall, until September, which is why you can't put them in the beta.
Exactly.
It has said though, we're gonna these are gonna happen. Apple Core, ballet dancers, a Bigfoot, distorted face, a fight cloud. I don't see that in this drawing. A fight cloud, I guess, like in Popeye.
Yeah, there's a cloud with punching and stuff.
With punching, Orca, a killer whale. Is that right? The Orca.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. And treasure chest and trombone. These new emoji have long-standing symbolic meanings. Oh, well, I know what treasure chest will be used for.
Technically, the Bigfoot is called Hairy Creature. If you go to
Hairy Creature is the technical...
and he actually looks like the Harry and the Hendersons version of
He does.
Bigfoot. He really does.
Yeah, it's pretty clearly Bigfoot. Oh, there's the fight cloud.
Yeah.
There's the fight cloud. Nice.
Yeah. So, and we should say also, this is a thing that people don't know about emoji, is that nobody owns emoji art. So the Unicode consortium sets these code points, but every platform can make its own art. There is no.
And they release both a text description, which we just read, but also a
sample.
But it's not a requirement. And Apple does it usually.
So Apple has its own designers. Microsoft has its own designers. Facebook has its own designers. So you will see.
Everybody.
Although that you don't like there to be emoji fragmentation, like when there was like some guns were guns and some guns were squirt guns, right? That sort of thing. Because then if you send to somebody on another platform, they might misunderstand what you're saying.
Are you shooting me or squirting me?
My guess is that they'll all be in the ballpark of this. But like if somebody didn't want it to look like that particular Bigfoot pose because it's a hairy creature.
Doesn't have to.
They could make it look different and have a different kind of hairy creature, and everybody would just have to learn whose hairy creature was whose.
Yeah.
And the landslide really looks like a mountain falling apart. It could be, I don't know. I think we could do better than this, to be honest.
Yeah.
These are the emoji proposals from the Unicode Consortium.
And these are always interesting because they often reflect changes in society. I don't think so much this year, although maybe cryptid Bigfoot could be an exception. But like there was a year when the syringe emoji, I think, actually changed
because of COVID.
Yeah, because it used to be like filled with blood as though you're taking a blood sample, and then it became like an inoculation sort of emoji instead.
By the way, I love it that the Unicode Consortium uses basically a generic blogger template.
Yeah,
it's
I thought it was Blogspot.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, they don't do that. The place to go is Emojipedia.org, which
love that.
Is not run by the Unicode Consortium, but Jeremy Berg founded that, and Keith Brioni still blogs about this.
And we've had Jeremy on our shows many times to talk about these things.
That's the place. They have a good-looking website. So.
Yeah, this looks nice. It's pretty. It's got lots of emoji.
Well, they should go to hell for focusing on the content instead of the design. Good heavens.
Shame on them.
Oh, they have an AI emoji generator.
Honestly, if you are a consortium, your website should probably look boring.
Yeah,
exactly.
Any consortium.
Of course,
we don't want consortium members spending time doing things like web design.
Leave that for others.
Yes.
Consortia.
All right, there you go. We always have this. This is our yearly tribute to emoji. No, I haven't played the emoji game, which is Apple's tribute to emoji. Have you guys played that? I don't. You must. It's on the. No. I think it's on the beta. Yeah, you have to have News Plus. So I guess it's not on the beta. It was announced for iOS 26, but they have now pushed it out.
Yeah, I think it's like their Wordle sort of thing.
Yeah. Should I open up News Plus and we could play a game or two?
It just has a very 70s game show sort of vibe to it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. You still loving the recipes, Alex? You still a big fan of that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to admit that I only use them for specific, like, I really want to do something special, because mostly between that I've learned that I just, if you add curry to things, that it just tastes good.
It's always good.
Number one.
Even chicken salad with curry is better.
Well, here's the worst part. Now I got fresh curry, and now it's ruined the powdered curry. But the
where do you get fresh? What is fresh curry? I always have curry in the jar with the.
I know. It was like, well, first I learned that.
First of all, there's no spice called curry. It's a combination, right?
Cumin
and
there's a lot of things in it, and the I think there actually is
turmeric
a curry plant, but I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, but there's curry, and at first you learn that salt and pepper isn't just enough. You can add curry to things, and most things will taste better if you add some curry, you powder to it. And then you go to the farmer's market and you walk past this guy selling fresh curry every week for months. And you finally I'll give it a shot. I was just like,
that's the difference between fresh ginger and dried ginger.
It is. It's exactly that way. It's like, and so I was like, I'll try, because you can't test it there because there's nothing to cook with it. It's just like a jar. So it's like $12 for this jar of fresh curry. And you take it home, and the first veggies I made with it, I was like,
I want some fresh curry.
I'll get you some. It's San Rafael.
I'm just asking AI if there is a curry plant. And apparently there is.
Yeah.
Helichrysum italicum, the curry plant. It's a small perennial herb with silver gray leaves and clusters of. I always thought curry was kind of a.
This curry
garam masala
is really like a mixture of a bunch of things, and it's. But anyway, it's a. So between that and
there's also a curry tree.
Yeah, and between that and ChatGPT, I have to admit that I look for recipes, and it's come to the point where I use a lot of I save a lot of recipes, like, that'd be really cool.
Right.
But the thing in news is that when you see any recipe now that it looks remotely interesting, you just go save. I'll save that recipe.
Yeah, you might
and I love the formatting of it. I think that Apple could, like always, I think Apple sometimes plays with ideas that, everybody does this, but they play with ideas and they don't take it to where it could go. Like if they started going through the most popular ones that are saved the most often or something like that, and started looking at what Heston did. Like Heston made, they closed, by the way, the Heston pan. They stopped making them, or they're end of lifing them, which is very sad.
No.
Yeah.
I got the Heston Qs because of you.
Here's the funny thing is that I feel like I always, when I see something die like that is such a cool thing. You're like, what happened? And I think it was the interaction. The Bluetooth controller that was in the pan was quirky. Like it just didn't always line up, and you just stopped playing with it. Like you stopped using it that way because you couldn't get it to be reliable. And so you built this, it's just a great lesson in, you spent all this money on technology, they made all this great content, and the one little thing that I'm sure they saved money on is that they didn't quite get this interaction with the phone and the thing to work smoothly, and mostly tell you what's not working, right? And so it was always like a problem that you couldn't quite get over. And so but their content of how to cook is the best content ever made, in my opinion, around cooking. Like it was step by step by step. It would tell the pan what to do. It had videos of exactly how to do everything. It had, it told you what to look for, and it was amazing. And I feel like if Apple, if Apple had the money, because the problem with Apple is that they're always like short on
so
cash.
tight. I know.
But when you look at their fitness app, if they took the same thing that they're doing with fitness and just said, we're going to take a bunch of these recipes, or we're going to create all these great recipes of all the stuff that most people make, and then make these incredible like tutorials that are very similar to what Heston did, I just think it would be, people would get really excited about that, and use it a lot, but they won't, because it's, and it would. And again, they could boil the ocean for $10 million.
Does Heston still make regular pans, or
they make incredible pans?
Okay, they're still making their regular pans. They're just not making the Bluetooth pans,
the smart ones, and there's other people that got into the market with the smart ones, and because and it's something you want to work. It's just that
you also need a special induction burner, and
the induction stuff. And there's other people that have come out with those, and so that's also part of the problem. Is there's competition that costs less money. The Heston stove top, which is what you really want, is like $4,500, and so you're like, okay, well that's an investment, but I will say that like when it was working for me, the idea that you could just set something to 450 degrees and it just goes straight up, and you put something else on it and it goes right back up to that. You kind of like that's
one of the advantages of induction stovetops too, though. Right?
But but the fact that it knew what the pan temperature was, meant that it was able to get the pan to the right temperature immediately and stay there, and it would just keep on staying there, and it would just instantly get it to where it needed to go. And so you felt like it was the future. It's just that, again, one little broken door, and it kind of killed, in my opinion, that whole thing. But I think that it would be really, I think that hopefully what I'm hoping with Apple's recipes, to go back to Apple, is that they look at that and start taking, okay, a lot of people are saving things about this kind of food or this kind of food or this kind of food. What if we built a studio like fitness and built a bunch of things that showed you how to do that all on your phone?
Wouldn't that be cool if Apple did that?
Yeah, if Apple did it, if they literally just hire the people that did the Heston.
I would bet more people eat than work out.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying.
I think we're all proof of that. And so anyway, but I think
some of us do both, but most people at least eat. Yeah.
And the thing is, everyone's doing that 3 times a day. You can really make. And again, when you talk about health, I think the reason people buy things in boxes, as someone who's now kind of slowly on this path of not buying anything in boxes. Literally, I have a car. I'm one of those people now with the cart at the farmer's market like that. Like,
has your name on it?
No, it's just that I have a
you just bring a giant cart.
It pops open because I'm grocery shopping. Like I'm not, and I've stopped.
You're like those little old ladies walking home trailing the little cart.
It's funny. It's very. There's a whole culture there. People they'll ask you, okay, what are you cooking and what are you going to do with this? I'm like,
that's fun.
This is just lunch.
You used to do cooking on Saturdays at office hours. You still do that?
No, my wife didn't like me turning the kitchen into a studio. Yeah. So that was the big. It's like this is the weekend, and so if I ever get my own house, she did
marry you. This is kind of goes with the territory.
But there's the saying that is the thing that we all
happy
know.
Wife, happy life. Yes.
If you stay inside that box, man, life is.
I know how that is.
I stay inside the box. That's one box I stay inside of.
All right. Okay. Fine. Apple is losing ground in the AI talent war. Interesting scoop. I think it was from the information that Apple, at least some people at the Apple AI researchers, wanted to release some of their models to the public as open source models. And Craig Federighi said, "Niet." Ruming Pang, who has since left Apple, by the way, for a high-paying job at OpenAI, or I'm sorry, at Meta, where he's rumored to be earning $200 million over 4 years. Not quite quarterback money, but in the ballpark. Pang wanted to, he was the head of the Apple Foundation models team, wanted to release his open source model. Craig Federighi said no, according to two people with knowledge of the matter, and Aaron Tilley and Wei Ma writing at the information. Releasing the models as open source would show how the software underperformed rival models. Craig said he was more concerned that the public would believe Apple was making too many compromises to getting the software running on the phones. Pang wanted it to go open source so that others could work on it and help them improve it. I don't know if Meta has benefited from that philosophy. In fact, there was a rumor. I don't know if it's not confirmed that Meta was even thinking of pulling back its open source Llama models. In any event, last week Pang announced on LinkedIn that he is out of here. He's going to Meta for some big money, along with other team members, including one, Tom Gunter, who was going to OpenAI, but when Pang went to Meta, he said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to Meta."
Yeah.
Gunter was one of the first people at the company to explore large language models, of course, according to the information, and was often the face of Pang's team at bigger company-wide events. So a pretty big loss for Apple from the information scoop.
Yeah, it feels like that's one of the big problems when you lose like one of the leads. The members of that team are like, well, now what am I doing here?
Right.
So, I mean, teams like to stay together.
Yep. Especially when there's $100 million checks involved.
That helps too.
Certainly helps. Not that Apple I'm sure he was well compensated at Apple.
Well, if you don't, again, from a lot of teams, it's for people want to feel like they're going to be part of something that's going to go somewhere. And it also has to do with, it may not be money right now, but it's money in the future. If you're an also ran team, the value of what you can do down the road is affected dramatically.
And Zuckerberg did say it's not just the money. He said, these guys want access to compute, and we've got more compute than anybody. We've got all those GPUs. So they want to use the resources.
I mean, fair enough. I just want to point out, though, that there's another read on this, which is Apple has identified probably a strategic advantage they have, which is privacy and keeping things on device.
Right.
And they built the neural engine and they built the GPU power, and they're presumably going to be ramping that up in future devices that they build. And from this report, it sounds to me like this team wants to build stuff in the cloud. And if you're Craig Federighi, I mean, yeah, the open source thing, it does sound sort of dumb to me if all he's really trying to do is disguise what Apple is doing, and that may be a cultural fit, but or a cultural misfit. But if Apple has decided that they really need to lean into making the on-device models as good as they can, because that's where they have a place to shine and differentiate themselves, and this team isn't really interested in that, thinks it's baby LLM, and wants to have huge access to giant cloud servers, that's a mismatch of direction, right? And so I do wonder if some of what's going on here is the people on this team not wanting to go where Apple wants them to go.
Yeah.
And I think both of those perspectives might be valid, right? Like if I'm Apple, I probably would want to lean into making great on-device models. And if I'm an AI researcher, I might be like, well, that's boring. I want to be up in the cloud where, we can do these amazing things. And I think those are both valid. And if that's where Apple wants to go, it needs to find researchers who are interested in, and then one is not fundamentally better than the other. To make an amazingly good private on-device model is also a big accomplishment. But if you're an AI researcher and that is not how you measure success, I could see how that wouldn't work for you.
Yeah, the key being the word researcher. Like they're not necessarily there to enhance their goal in life when they decided to do all that study and all that work and give up on going to movies and stuff wasn't, hey, I'm going to make the next iPhone speech recognition work a lot better. It really was, there's going to be a period, I'm going to make a discovery, and for a period of time, I will know something that nobody else in the world knows until the paper gets published. And that's the way that I'm going to change the world. And it's not just, making a lot of money now is really, really great, but being 60 years old and being thought of as one of the giants of your field, that's super great.
And even that, I mean, sometimes they just want to play. Like the idea is I'm really smart. I'm coming up with a bunch of stuff. I remember talking to somebody that worked in a group in a large company, not in Silicon Valley, but they had a lot of money. They had a team of like 30 people, and they're working on technologies, and they were paid to work on that technology. And I said, when are you going to put out a product? And they're like, never are we going to put out a product. Like other teams will come and talk to us, and we'll tell them cool things that we're doing. We'll tell them how we do it. We'll make it all work, but we're never making a product. And they were really like opinionated about never having a product. And I was like, why? And he goes, as soon as you start making a product, then you stop doing anything. Like now it's all bugs and things and figuring things out, and it's not fun anymore. Like,
Science,
but it was,
not
to them, it wasn't no one knows who they are. So there was no whatever. It was just that they were having fun, and fun would stop as soon as they had to turn it into a product.
And I think this is a cultural problem with Apple, is that Apple is a company in general that is very focused on shipping product and not doing pure research. And like they can spend the money to do pure research. And I do wonder if one of the dynamics going on here is that this group was more of a research group. Gianandrea strikes me as being a research guy too. Right. And then there's a freak out, and Apple is like, your research hasn't given us our product. And they're like, but we're just doing research. I get that. Again, it feels to me like there's just a mismatch here where ML has gone from being kind of like, you go do your research and we'll figure out how to productize it, to suddenly it's like, oh God, the ML is the product. And Apple's priorities don't necessarily match theirs. It's so easy to say, oh, people leave an Apple, that's bad for Apple. But like, I think that there might be some nuance here in terms of what Apple's priorities are and what their priorities are. And I actually wish them luck, because I think a lot of these companies, the pure research thing isn't going to fly. But like if you're in an area where you can do the research you're interested in doing as part of an overall product strategy, that's a better fit for you. And I'm not sure that is Apple.
And even if it's not the $100 million, I mean, if someone walks up to you as a programmer and says, well, especially in the environment where AI is replacing a lot of programmers and eventually might replace you, and they say you can make $5 million a year for the next 4 years or $2 million a year. And these aren't the giant numbers that we're talking about now. A lot of programmers would be crazy not to like, let's get enough money for a farmhouse, out of this deal. Especially when I think that for most programmers, life is uncertain at the moment,
But again, the difference between a programmer, an engineer, and a researcher. I remember talking to like one freshly minted Apple researcher whose attitude was that the thing is, like, at least at the time, and this is like 3 or 4 years out of date, the culture of secrecy was completely incompatible with how he saw his career as a researcher going, because he just wasn't allowed to talk about the work that he was doing. At the time, he felt as though he wasn't being allowed to publish papers. And so therefore his standing as a researcher, as an academic, was basically a dead zone of his time at Apple. And one of the reasons why he left was because he wanted to basically make that kind of impact, not as somebody who, again, would be one of the secret people who made speech recognition better on the iPhone. He wanted to leave behind, when he's 60 or 70 years old, here are all the papers that I've published. Here's all the patents that I've been issued. Here is all the stuff here's all the lectures that I've given. I'm creating a body of work that goes beyond, again, having 6 years or 10 years at Apple on my LinkedIn. And yeah, money is great, but they're not, once they are rich enough that they could do whatever they want to do is not necessarily, again, being an anonymous academic inside Apple who can't tell anybody, who can't share his work with the rest of the community.
Well, and interestingly, Apple had just published this Apple Intelligence Foundation Language Models Tech Report with no byline, which makes you kind of wonder. It's actually a really interesting approach, and I think that people will be very impressed with what the thinking Apple has done, but it's unclear who wrote this and whether they're losing the people who came up with this, or maybe not. But a lot of the work is done so that it will be fast and performant on a small hardware device like an iPhone. And
there is it's a 27-page report. There is a list of contributors at the very end that goes on for like actually. Wow, actually goes on for 4 pages. So.
Yeah. So let's see who the first name is on it. Wow.
Please hold your applause until all 4 pages.
And that makes it harder to pick it.
Oh, it's in random order. There you go. Yeah. So that's intentional. They put it in random order. Still, they're doing some very interesting work. I'm not enough of an expert in AI to know, but it sounds like they're doing some stuff that is very targeted at the uses they want to put Apple Intelligence to.
Yeah, and as much as we can find fault, like legitimately or otherwise, this is still early days for Apple. They're still a year away from actually releasing anything concrete. Probably a couple years away from doing something that is objectively impressive. Because again, they're still getting these wheels spun up on this new mandate that they have. So. It's okay for them to be where they are right now. There's a reason why Google and Meta and OpenAI are getting all the attentions, because they are trying to push they have the resources and they have the 10 years or 15 years of hard work on this, that they are feeling the fruits of these early research labors. Whereas Apple has just put the pedal to the metal like fairly recently, 2 or 3 years ago.
And one of the things that Apple did say in this report is that they respect robots.txt, which not all AI scrapers do. So Applebot will not, scrape your site if you explicitly say don't. They also say they use publicly available web data, and they license some data. Unclear how much they're paying or with whom they are licensing it. But this is Apple trying to be a responsible user of AI.
Yeah. They've said it before, but the one qualification for that is that when they say they use public data, I think they're still referring to a public data set that was in itself a whole bunch of scrape data. So I don't know if they carved out an exception there. I admit
Apple applied layers of filtering to remove low quality, unsafe, or irrelevant content, including spammy pages, shallow or templated text, and broken formatting. But everybody does that. That's part of the training process. That's normal. I guess they're saying we're trying to be responsible. This is a very good piece, by the way, 9 to 5 Mac, Marcus Mendez, analyzing if the actual tech report is too much for you, which it was for me, analyzing some of the innovative stuff they're doing. And I think it's quite interesting.
And again, Apple has the unique opportunity, as Jason's pointed out a little bit too, is Apple has a bunch of unique opportunities and unique leverage that no one else has. Everyone else is kind of on a software layer trying to figure this all out, or they're buying, or they have the hardware layer. They don't have both. And figuring that out is a pretty interesting opportunity for Apple, especially with the number of users that potentially could have that in their pocket.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. All the models that are out there, they do have a mobile component to it, because it is. Remember, this is one of the few areas which it is actually in like Google's best interest to put as much compute on the device as possible, so that they don't have to spend the money for compute power. They have to spend the money for energy, all that other sort of stuff. So I acknowledge that that's an advantage that Apple has. I don't know how big an advantage it's going to be, though.
I think it's a very small advantage today. I think it's potentially a very large advantage 5 years from now, when you're building all that hardware and you're building all the chips and you're building like the design. As those designs come together, I think they can do something organically that is very difficult to do with lots of other companies. And so that's, they can have lots of discussions, but having discussions between companies and being the company that does all of the things is a much different experience. And I think that's where Apple, that's what they're going to at least try to leverage.
Yeah.
That's where they're at.
For that point, Google's also designing their own mobile tensor chips. They've had them since the Pixel 6, and they now have 2 or 3 years worth of experience. And you can't. And although it's great, I think it's optimal to have all of that in one shop, as Apple does. That doesn't mean that these other companies are buying chips off the shelf. They have the cloud to basically have a company co-design a chip, or have a chip company design something to their specifications. So all I'm saying is that it's unknown how big this advantage is going to be even 5 years from now.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's take a little break. You're listening to MacBreak Weekly. Andy Iannacco, Jason Snell, Alex Lindsay. Glad you're here. Our Show today brought to you by my new mattress, and I have to say, I'm very happy about that. We last week we got our Helix Sleep. We've been sleeping on it all week, and it is so nice. There's so many things you do on your mattress besides just sleeping, by the way. I mean, it's an important part of your life, more than 8 hours a day. You got movie nights with your partners, morning cuddles with our kitty cat Rosie, your wind down ritual after long days. My favorite thing to do is curl up with a good book. And I love my Helix Sleep for that. But of course, I also love it because it's the most comfortable mattress I've ever had. Not just, well, you know, one of the things people complain about with their mattress, night sweats, waking up hot and sweaty, or your back is hurting because your mattress is sagging, or you feel every toss and turn your partner makes. There were times when I've woken up saying, was that an earthquake? Oh, no, it was just, it was just the cat. These are classic mattress nightmares. They happen no more with my Helix Sleep. No more night sweats, no back pain, no motion transfer. You get the deep sleep you deserve. One buyer recently reviewed the Helix Sleep with 5 stars. I love my Helix mattress. I will never sleep on anything else. I concur. I am really happy. You know, they say you have to replace your mattress every 6 to 10 years. We were about 8 years into our old mattress, and I thought this would be a good time. So I looked around, and man, I saw the reviews. Time and time again, Helix Sleep remains the most awarded mattress brand. Wired's Best Mattress 2025. As if that weren't enough. Good Housekeeping's Bedding Awards 2025 for premium plus size support. GQ's Sleep Awards 2025 for Best Hybrid Mattress. New York Times Wirecutter 2025 featured for plus size. Oprah Daily Sleep Awards 2025 Best Hotel-like Feel. The Leo Laporte Twit Award for the best night's sleep. Oh, that wasn't in there, but I give it that. Go to helixsleep.com/twit for 27% off site-wide during the 4th of July sale. Best of web offer extended. That's helixsleep.com/twit for 27% off site-wide, exclusive for listeners of MacBreak Weekly. This offer ends on July 31st. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. And if you're listening after the sale ends, still be sure to check them out at helixsleep.com/twit. You're going to get the perfect mattress. I'm telling you. helixsleep.com/twit. I wish you could come over and take a nap. I do. Because you would say, yeah, you're right, Leo. This is great. helixsleep.com/twit. Okay. By the way, I decided, I was really thinking about this. You know, next year we're starting to see a lot of rumors, and next year, of course, we're going to see, we think, the folding iPhone. And I thought I should really try the state of the art. So I did order this new Samsung Galaxy Fold, the ultra thin, which comes out Friday, I think. Yeah, the 25th. I know they're expensive. I'm trading in the Flip, get a little bit off of that, but I thought I really ought to see, because they have made it very thin. The reviews are very positive. Yeah. I think this is what Apple's competing against, right? And Samsung, this is their 7th Fold. They have a lot of experience behind this.
Yeah, and I think it did take at least 6 years for them to get over their really, really bad first impression that the first version of the product made. But
I had the first 3, and I never ordered another one for that reason. They were clunky.
Yeah, exactly. No, it wasn't until actually probably the 6th that I started thinking that, geez, I could use a phone like this. And the new version, they now know how to manufacture these screens. They now know how to make them as durable as a folding display can be. And now they're in the refinement stage of things, where now that you don't have to have that cover screen that is of this really, really weird shape, or has this really, really weird bezels that makes you feel like, I'm not supposed to be using the phone this way. I'm supposed to be using it unfolded, as well as adding all kinds of user interface enhancements to take advantage of it.
Does Apple get the benefit, though, of that? I mean, they're going to buy their screens from Samsung, right?
Yeah.
That's the rumor.
Yeah.
It feels to me like this is Apple's been, Apple hasn't been sitting on the sideline doing nothing. I think Apple's been looking at all of the stuff that Samsung is building, all of the foldables that are out there. The Mark Gurman's report is that Apple is, going to tweak some things about the hinge or whatever. But this, not only does this newest Samsung phone feel like the moment, to me, it feels like the moment where Apple looks at it and goes, all right, like it's time. And so next year we'll get there, and that thin phone this year will also be the how do we make the iPhone thin enough that we can do a little ice cream sandwich of two of them in a foldable the following year. So they've been lining this up. But yeah, Samsung Display is an Apple partner, and I think Apple has been probably pushing them to be better, and they want to be better. And with this latest Samsung phone, it is better. The reviews are good, and I would imagine that next year's iteration will be the moment that Samsung will have that, but Apple will also sort of step on the treadmill at that point. And what you said about the first three models being disappointing, like not only is Apple really good at waiting for the moment where they think that wherever they've set their bar, and sometimes they wait a little too long, but I think that they do a pretty good job. But keep in mind also the scale that Apple works at. You got to get it right. And you got to be able to ship it in huge volumes, even for an expensive $2,000 phone. Being an iPhone, it will sell well. So
I would guess
like
the Samsung sell almost as many phones, if not more.
More.
Yeah, but of the Fold, maybe not, right?
Yeah, they have not, and they have so many different models. And Apple's very concentrated. I guess what I'm saying is I feel like Samsung has always been able to afford to throw out wacky models because they got other phones that you can buy that are just fine. And Apple has been a lot slower to do that. And Apple isn't comfortable just throwing out a wacky model that isn't very good and that isn't going to sell very well. So they do try to wait and now there's probably pent up demand for a folding iPhone on top of it. So like they want to get it right. But I mean that, and in all looking at all the coverage of that new Samsung phone, I just really got the vibes like we finally have reached that point where it's not for everybody, but like this is of a caliber of product that it no longer feels like a curiosity, but like a real option.
Yeah, and Apple has two huge advantages that Samsung never had because the minute that Apple does a folding iPhone, even if they did it 3 years ago, if you unfold it and it turns into an iPad, you have an immensely useful piece of hardware, an immensely useful. Whereas for years, Google itself has been just absolutely terrible in scaling Android above the size of a phone screen. So that's why Samsung had to build a whole bunch of extra stuff just to make it into a practical experience when you make it into a larger display, instead of just stretching a phone app to fill the thing, or just let's have one app on this left side, another app on the right side. And Google has gotten on the stick for the past 3 years about that, and that's exactly one of the biggest features that they're touting about the new Android this year and next year. But the thing is, it's the minute that you unfold an iPhone and it turns into an iPad, that justifies at least $500 of the expense. And the second advantage is that Apple users are very, very comfortable in spending $2,000 on something that they think is worth it. This is going to be, if it's less than $2,000, that will be a very, very happy surprise. I think Apple might.
That's what the Fold 7 is exactly.
Yeah, the last 7 years has been
up $100 since last year too. So
I mean, just to reinforce something Andy said, the last 7 years has been Apple sort of starting to explore how much could we charge for an iPhone and people still buy it. Started with the iPhone 10 and has continued, and we see it with the Pro Max now. And the answer is they still don't know, because there are people $2,000 phone people will buy it.
Exists in the world.
Exactly.
There's a ceiling there somewhere. We just can't find it.
You don't know where it is though.
But Jason's absolutely right. It had to, for Apple to do it, have to wait for how do we make it so that when you fold it up, it's about as thick as a regular phone? How do we make it so that you can get the regular battery life? And just making batteries that thin is not a trivial thing.
And the great thing about
the third thing, how do we make it durable enough that we're not going to have an immense amount of returns inside the warranty experience?
The Samsung review thing, the detail with the Samsung review that I like the most that I noticed is the reviewer saying that they use it closed and it feels like a phone.
That's a huge shift.
That is a huge threshold to get over, that you're not holding an ice cream sandwich.
We had Abrar Al-Hidi from CNET on Twitter on Sunday, and that's exactly what she said. And that's what put me over the top is, if I could keep it closed and it isn't much thicker than a regular phone and I have a full-size screen on the front, that's a phone. And then if I want more screen real estate, I've got it inside.
And you got
that sounds pretty good. That sounds like a good combination.
Right. And Apple's experience, I mean, this is one of those things we talk about the Vision Pro being like, maybe in 10 years, there'll be a relevant product here and we'll be ready for it. That is, and Andy's right. Google has done a lot, they have really worked to make the tablet app experience better on Android. And because it lagged for so long, but like this is one of those cases where we've had the iPad for like 15 years now, and that is a real advantage, that there are iPad apps, that there are iPad APIs, that like this thing is just going to open up and be an iPad mini, basically. And that is again, Apple users get what that is. As Andy said, it's like $500 off right there, because now it's your iPad 2. There's a lot going for it. It's not going to be for everybody. We're going to get a lot of people who are going to be like, oh, it's so stupid, I don't want to buy a $2,000 iPhone. It's like, don't buy it then, but there will be an audience for it.
Yeah. The thing that just occurred to me right now is that I'm not predicting this, but I wonder if there's a temptation for Apple to say, what kind of a physical keyboard could we sell alongside this? And we maybe can't do a magic keyboard, but maybe we can, or maybe we can do a mini keyboard that doesn't stink, but MagSafe's to the side of it, so that at least in your pocket, it's a very nice little collected sort of thing. Will they work with Logitech or somebody to say, could you develop something that seems like it's a natural accessory that would make this into a productivity device when it's unfolded?
Andy, it's that old Palm keyboard that came with its own easel attached to it.
Yeah.
Basically, it's that kind of thing. Unfolded, plop it in.
You joke, but I've one of the results of cleaning out my entire office is that I now have a box of like pocketable, foldable keyboards. When I was writing about them and trying to find the right one, and I took that out, the one that worked with the Palm, and I'm like, this feels nice.
It's pretty good. I used to have one of those.
Is that the one I bought? One that you recommended, Andy, that was like a thin one that would then opened up like that. It was a nice one. I can't remember.
There are a couple that I like. The two solutions that I love are the kind where they do a magical like 3-way hinge, so that you still get like the same sort of like interlocking sort of keys. Yeah. And the second one is like Jason said, there was one where you get this beautiful like metal cigarette box that you unfold it and then you slide the sides of it together, forming like a full-size laptop keyboard.
Oh, it was so good.
And the thing is, like, even as I'm going through these and admiring them, I'm recalling the fact that, okay, but Andy, your solution is not the solution you seek is not to carry it all in one pocket, but to make it take as little space in your laptop bag as possible.
Exactly.
Why not just get like a mini
keyboard?
I forget. I really need to do a look at these, because now I've seen on video and in pictures the search for a good mobile keyboard has led to keyboards that they're trying to is like 62% normal size, like the small compact size. And I remember it seems like the size of the original like Newton message pad keyboard, which I remember as, okay, I'm okay with this, but I don't want it to be much smaller than this.
Right. Yeah, there's a threshold there. I got, for the people watching on video, this is my Palm 3. And I took a trip. It's the clear one. Yeah. I took a trip to the UK, and I brought that little folding keyboard that Andy talked about in this. And yeah, it did. You literally attached to the serial pin. So it was this thing, you folded out and slid it together, and then you popped this in a dock at the top, and then you could type, and it was just this incredibly small thing that you could type on and take it away. And these days, obviously, things are different, but I love the idea of having a little tiny thing that you could unfold or roll out or whatever, and suddenly you've got your whole office with you, and it was previously just your phone in your pocket. I love it.
I gotta say, I'm looking through Flickr as I speak. So the one year at the Commerce and World Affairs at the University of Colorado, speaking for an entire week, my computer was like a Palm Pilot and the nice fold-out keyboard. And every time, like every talk was like a panel of 4 people. And when I take my seat and my notes are on, I would deploy this thing. I felt like it was such a power move. Like, oh wow, you have a pencil and a notepad. Oh, that's click 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 click.
Well, I'd be very curious to see if Apple does that. I don't feel like they will, but you never know. You never know. There's certainly
they'll
a
use a trusted
partner.
Yeah, they'll use a trusted Belkin or Logitech or something.
Yeah.
We'll do. That's what they do.
There are lots of rumors about what Apple's going to be doing. Gurman says they are going to benefit from, Samsung's 7 years of experience.
Yeah.
They say he says Apple's first foldable won't break any technological barriers or redefine the category. Samsung's already taken care of much of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Although they are starting, he does say that iOS 27 will have a lot of features specifically for that folding screen, which is interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that is an interesting, I don't know if you call it an advantage, but that's an interesting thing about Samsung. They're not afraid to make the first thing kind of stink.
Right.
Well, they've got a lot of different ones. I mean, the thing is, Apple has so few SKUs.
Right, exactly.
So Samsung's got all these SKUs, and they're like, "Oh, this is just one experiment."
Yeah, but not only that, but like oftentimes they're half baked. Like the hey, wow, we're the first one to do facial recognition unlock. Yeah, but it kind of stinks. Yeah, but the next year will be better. But this also pays off when remember that they're the first. Remember when the first Samsung Galaxy Note came out. And like, oh my God, look at
so
it. It must be 6 inches large. What kind of crazy person would carry a phone like that? Like, they sold how many?
Oh, yeah. I bought every one of them. Every one of them. I loved them, and I loved the pen. I was sad that they've abandoned the S Pen, but that's what they had to do.
Yeah, that's such a weird decision for, like, one of the nice things about having a foldable phone is that let's treat it like a tablet. Why not make it pen-based?
Have a pen. Have a pen.
Anyway.
More rumors. We'll get to those in just a bit. You're watching MacBreak Weekly with Andy, Alex, and Jason, and you. I'm glad you're here. More rumors from Mark Gurman. The iPad Pro for M5, which will come out later this year, will have cameras on the side and the top. So you can... That's an interesting... I guess... That makes sense.
I mean, I do a FaceTime with my mom on my iPad every week, and she uses her phone, and so I have to hold it vertically, which, by the way, there's no reason for that. Apple should just auto-crop it to the right aspect ratio. Right. What is going on here? Why is that the case? But it is the case, and so I do that. And now that they moved it to the side, or, on that orientation, it's I like it in every other way, but that's the one time I use my iPad there. This is not going to cost them a lot of money. I don't think they're replicating Face ID on both. It's not going to be the whole sensor stack. It's just going to be a camera. And if there's ever an iPad that could afford that extra tiny piece of technology, it's the iPad Pro, which already costs so much money that adding a second camera is just not a big deal. It's fine.
I will also say that as the geek in me will say, if they take full advantage of two front-facing cameras, it means that the 3D models they can build with that much parallax is impressive. Like, if you get structured light, so you have the LiDAR system, and then you've got two cameras that are far apart like that, that would be huge, huge.
But and I'm asking this literally, like, but could they correct it with software, or do you have to shoot it like on the diagonal this so that both of the cameras?
Not spatial. So I'm not talking about spatial. What I'm talking about is if you have an object. If I have an object that is, a box here, and I'm looking at it one from the side and one above going down, I have two very different angles. Right now, you can't really do that with the spatial cameras that are in the phone. It can do it a little bit, but they're too close together. So what happens is that what you're looking at is, think about the way GPS or photogrammetry works is building triangles. And the wider that triangle is between the two cameras where they're still overlapping, but the further apart they get and still overlap in a meaningful way, the easier it is to grab onto that 3D data and understand what they're looking at. And so if Apple doesn't do it, I feel like developers will be able to grab onto that. But if you get a point where I can grab onto an iPad and point it at something, and man, I don't know if they'll do this, but if I had the LiDAR sensor that I have on the back of a camera, and then I had those two things, my ability to build 3D models, I mean, it would be magical, because you structured light from the LiDAR means that I know exactly how big that object is. And two cameras really far apart from each other means that I can gather a lot of detail and texture and lighting and all kinds of other things from two different angles. It could potentially allow them to very fast turn real world objects into 3D objects for VR. So beyond just being convenient, I don't know if they'll do that. I just made that up right now, but I think that it's potentially really exciting.
That's great. I hadn't even thought about that. Now you've got me thinking, like, what could you do if could you take advantage of the fact that, okay, fine, the one that's at the top of the screen, depending on your orientation, is going to be like your conference camera, but if someone enters the frame, it can use the second one as a wide. So it's going to zoom in on you with a primary camera. But then if it senses that, someone's entering into the frame, I'm going to cut to a wide angle using the second camera, or have a different set of settings for the second camera.
I mean, it could be delivering both of those cameras. I mean, I think Apple's already proven that they're willing to deliver from multiple cameras at one time. So being able to grab onto things. But I think that from a I think I'm mostly thinking about it right now from a 3D perspective of, Apple, part of the overall ecosystem that Apple's trying to build with USDZ and with VR and with everything else is you got to make it easy to take an object and turn it into a 3D model. And this, beyond just being able to do orientation fixes, could be explosive in that area because because the other thing, here's the thing. Perfectly because you manufacture 1 million of these, exactly how the distance between those two. And so that's a calibration that you don't have to make. You know what the lenses are, what the distance is, what the angles are. And that gives you an incredible amount of structure, which makes the math a lot easier. And so it's exciting.
Now you've got me super excited. And I agree with you. That's the sort of thing where a third-party developer would immediately see the potential and would start hacking that like as soon as they get the hardware just to see if it'll work. That's got me if you think about more excited.
Like the folks hacking the old Xbox, controller, the little that was a little LiDAR controller, right? And they used it to scan things and everything else. This is like turning that dial.
The Connect.
Those were only 80 millimeters apart and on the same line. You put them on a corner that you know for sure, and then you have higher resolution and more frame rate and everything else, and then you add a LiDAR to it. I don't know if Apple. Again, this is like me dreaming what Apple.
They'd have to put LiDAR on both cameras, right? Or would just one sensor?
Just one. Okay. Just one. You just if one of them had, and they're already using that for facial ID to some degree, but there's a higher. It's a higher res one on the other side. So if they use and a lot of the cost of that LiDAR has gone way down, because they've used it in so many things, and so putting that LiDAR on that front-facing camera and then giving you another camera that's far away and to the side. Oh boy, that would be interesting.
Boy.
I don't get excited about that hardware like that very often. I'm like,
Alex,
I'll tell you what, I'm excited.
You've never made me so happy about having an M1 iPad that can probably serve to be replaced sometime.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be in a good position next.
I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but my pocket is on fire.
I know.
My wallet is just smoldering. There's like flames coming out. Like what?
I got
I love the M4. The screens they're using are so good it's hard for me to use anything else.
And the funny thing is that it's been really a hard press for me to get. I have an M1. I have two M1s and
do it for the
iPads.
screen.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like I'm very utilitarian about my iPads, and I'm kind of like, because I think part of it is if I want to watch a movie or I want to watch something, I put my headset on. So I'm not that, and so so it's hard to get me to buy up iPads because I don't find a lot of the apps that I use need it. This would be the thing that would have me immediately like, I have to buy it.
I have to get it.
Have to get it. So anyway, we'll see.
So new rumors about colors for the iPhone 17 Pro. Now, Macworld said that there was going to be a steel gray option, but Maijin Bu said orange, white, black, and dark blue. When asked about the gray color on X, he said, the answer may be more complex than expected. Which tie that into another leaker, Setsuna Digital, who has had some success, saying the iPhone 17 will have a special color scheme related to the liquid glass design of iOS 26. It will be white, but with different effects under different light.
That would be nice.
Kind of a pretty, iridescent,
sort of
like an abalone shell.
That's interesting because if there is a glass cover on the back, which is something that we've been hearing, this is going to be a glass sandwich. You could have the metal layer underneath it could have a scheme that would interact with the layer on the top of it that could give that kind of like a beetle wing sort of effect. I'd love to see him go crazy. As I've said before, I'm a big fan of having one crazy option that you think that almost nobody will pick, but it's just going to be, let's try to do this weirdest colory yellow ever. Let's do a marble effect. Let's do a blueberry muffin effect.
September 9th.
The orange one I want. I'm excited. It might be bright, but it looks to me
the papaya one.
it looks to me like with the metallic finish, in the mock-up, it looks like it's basically going to be like copper,
Right.
It's going to be just kind of orangey, but also very metallic. And that's not necessarily the most exciting, but more exciting than they've done in the high-end phones in a while. So, and I love the idea that there might be a concept color that is just like, it's whatever color you think it might be. Whoa, great.
Whatever was rejected for the for the original iMacs, because I love how, like, in the later years of the iMacs, they said, what if we have sort of a Ponte Vecchia effect glass flowers in this plastic? Said, go for it.
Sure. Flower power. Let's try it.
Whatever floats your boat. There are pictures floating around of Juno Temple Brendan Hunt, Tanya Reynolds, Faye Marsay, sitting around, eating, having a nice dinner at Denny's or somewhere.
It's at a barbecue place in Kansas City. This is the first released shot from Ted Lasso season 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've signed everybody finally to their last contracts, and there weren't holdouts. It was just timing for everybody. Yeah. They're shooting Kansas City before they go to London, and there's some details about, like, broadly with the new season. And
what will Hannah Waddingham do in KC?
I think there'll be some humorous things that will happen.
There's kind of a mismatch there.
And spread joy is what
yes.
Ted Lasso basically a show that is essentially, not even set foot in America. So to get a bunch of the characters to come to Kansas City to find Ted and bring him back to London, I love the potential for some fun there with those characters.
Yeah. Nice. Normally at this time of the evening, we would be playing the Vision Pro theme because we are, in fact, the #1 Vision Pro podcast in the entire world.
Fight us.
There's no Vision Pro news. You guys want to make some up?
And new beta
came out
too. It's like when I'm finishing, like, what my contribution to the show doc, like, if I don't have I actually, like, look hard.
Thank you.
And I couldn't find a damn thing this
Andy does this professional rundown for the show, which I really appreciate, Andy.
You'll be able to see it soon at Andy's website when he launches it.
Do you think, Andy, I should just stop doing bookmarking articles and let you take over? Maybe I should.
I'm going to be doing it every week, whether you want to do it or whether you do it or not.
I'll put you in charge of the rundowns from now on.
All right.
There's a lot of duplication. Sometimes I have some oddball stories like this one. Apple warns Iranians of iPhone spyware attacks ahead of the Israeli conflict. Israel is, of course, the home of Pegasus, which is a zero-click attack used by nation states against folks. And maybe they were warning Apple's in the past put up notifications for people saying a nation state has compromised your phone.
Yeah.
So maybe they're doing that, or we're doing that in Iran before.
Shows it's working, and it's also a good canary that nobody has ordered them to shut down that service yet. I wonder how long it's going to take before some service says that you're not allowed to blow our operations in any way, shape, or form, and if there will be any blowback from Apple to say, no, we were surveilling those people for a reason because they are against our government. And what are you doing? What are you trying to do to fighting our government?
Steve Gibson took special note of Apple's term for this kind of spyware. They call it mercenary spyware, which is, I think, kind of a loaded term. Like, these are companies that are getting paid to break into your phone. Apple's recommendation, if you get this threat notification, to turn on advanced data protection.
And I think that just shows that Apple's not taking sides. They have to, if they set up a set of rules that say, hey, if you're doing this and we see that what's happening, we're going to tell you. They're going to tell everybody. That's actually what's happening there.
Apple is opposed to having its software subverted, and turned into and owned, right? Like they're against that. It doesn't matter who it is. It's like if you're a user of an Apple product and you got broken into and that their OS got busted, they're not happy about it. It doesn't matter who the breaker-inner is, and this is that's why the NSA doesn't report bugs to Apple, right? Like because Apple's interest is in closing those loopholes. That's,
right. Yeah.
No matter who it is.
And that's a good point because it's a key distinction. They have no problem with pulling apps from the App Store in a certain country because the government doesn't want people to have the ability to connect their iPhone to services without through encryption. However, if you try to compromise the phone itself, then you have a problem with Apple, and that's where Apple hopefully will continue to not let people cross that line.
Yes. This has nothing to do with Apple, but I thought it was interesting. Today is the second shortest day in history. Because the planet is rotating faster and faster. Don't worry, it's not that much faster.
Day? What was the shortest day in history?
The shortest day was July 20th.
So it's continuing. It's going to keep on
continuing to get shorter and shorter by a millisecond. I mean, you're not going to notice it, but they say, pretty soon we're going to have to do a leap second backwards. I'm sorry, the shortest day ever measured was July 5th, 2024. Last year at this time. It was 1.66 milliseconds shorter because the Earth's rotation had sped up by that much. Looking ahead to this year, scientists predicted July 9th, July 22nd, and August 5th could be the shortest day of the year. July 10th took the lead as the shortest day so far in 2025. Today, it is expected that we will have the shortest day, second shortest day in recorded history.
Yes, but who gets it? So if it's shorter, that time had to go somewhere.
Where does it go?
I don't want to know who.
Where does it go?
Who has that extra 14 seconds?
You can blame the moon for this, by the way, because the moon.
Someone should do something about that moon. I've had it. That moon needs to be taken down a peg, if you ask me.
If you want more details, space.com has the full story. I am not an astronomer. But the primary culprit, they say, has been tidal friction from the moon, which has caused the moon to gradually move farther away from the Earth. As it moves away, the moon saps, I tell you, the Earth's rotational energy, causing the rotation to slow and the days to lengthen. However, why the sudden reverse? Well, I don't know. Some reason they're not lengthening. But the good news is maybe they'll lengthen and we'll get our millisecond back. Who knows? It's all a great mystery. Nature is amazing. I think that is everything I have here. And since you guys couldn't come up with a Vision Pro story, we won't play the Vision Pro jingle, making this no longer
No, I have. The cameras are starting to roll out. I don't
play the jingle.
What do you know? It's time to talk the Vision Pro.
I am starting to get hate mail from people who say, "Don't play that crappy jingle."
I love it.
It's fun. So the cameras are starting to hit the wild. There's some unboxings that I don't have one yet. Yeah, the new
Blackmagic Ursas.
I don't have one yet. Not that I'm bitter. But
are you on the list?
I don't know.
I have a strong suspicion that Alex is on the list.
I'm on the list. I'm on the list, man. Look, check the list.
Super excited about whenever that occurs, but the new not the Cine there. That's the different one.
It's this one on the right. The Cine Immersive.
So we're starting to see unboxings there, and Hugh Howe, who is kind of known for. A lot of the stuff has done some stuff. He went to the Santa Monica Pier. There's some stuff that I can't download on my headset for some reason. It's not working. And this is what we're going to see. People are going to make stuff up. They're going to put it up there for people to download, and then it's going to be broken. So
it looks so cute. It looks like it's got a little face. You should put googly eyes on the lenses. It's so cute.
Exactly. So we should start to see. I guess what I would say is that the news is that we've talked about like when is it going to get released? Well, it's starting to come out of the factory. Typically, the way it works with Blackmagic is that things come out very slowly at the very beginning, and then once everything's tooled and the machine's going, they can produce as many as they need to. And so I think that we're going to see. More and more of these cameras, more and more test shoots. So it's not going to be immediate. It's not like September is going to be a great month for immersive, but I think that as we go towards the end of the year, December, January, February, we're going to start to see some really interesting new uses for the camera, new uses for the headset that we haven't seen before.
And new content, which would be really good.
And lots of new content, and again, Apple, I think, is working very closely with Blackmagic. the other thing to keep tracking is also Apple's paying, some of the stuff that they showed at WWDC about the Apple spatial audio format, the Apple positional audio codec. These are things that these are game changers. They're thinking about very high ambisonic orders. So, fifth ambisonic order, that type of thing, where you have lots and lots of detail, in these surround spheres. And so it's going to be really interesting to see both in the audio area as well as the video area where some of these start to come together. But we're going to see, I think it's going to start speeding up. We've been watching this kind of go very slowly and wonder when it's going to happen. But the next 6 months should be pretty interesting when it comes to content for the headset.
Dr. Do, who has been updating all the devices as the show goes on, has been updating his Vision Pro with Beta 4. He says it's booting now. My God, this is a long boot, not the usual 37 seconds.
37 seconds. I never know what it is.
Well, I'll tell you why he knows. Apparently, he's got a meeting and he's going to do it in the Vision Pro. So
there we go.
He's hurrying.
On a new beta.
Have you installed the beta? Anybody?
I was just traveling, so I haven't been able to get back and get it installed. But
I was too busy with the Mac and the iPad.
I've got the iPhone just finished updating. Yeah. I am blown away by no, I don't know anything.
I'm waiting for public. I want public. New Persona update screen again, says the doctor, the good doctor. All right, that's your Vision Pro segment. We have maintained our reputation.
We're done talking the Vision
World's
Pro.
leading Vision Pro.
World leading Vision Pro podcast. This, my friends, is why you're in Club Twit. This is the reason you joined, is so that you can support fine content like this. We do thank our Club Twit members. You make a big difference. Thank you for all you do for us. Club Twit pays now 25% of our operating costs. That's because, as much as we love our advertisers, they don't cover the full bill. That's why we started the club almost 5 years ago. And it was to kind of make up the difference. And you've done that. You've really done that. So we try to give you a reason to join. We appreciate the support. It's fantastic. You get ad-free versions of all the shows, because I always hate it when they charge you and still show you ads. We don't do that. You wouldn't even get this plug if you were a member, unless you wanted to. If you want to, you can. What else? We give you all these special events and programming we do. We give you video for all the shows that we do in audio only to the public, like This Week in Space and Home Theater Geeks, Hands on Mac. I'm sorry, it's now Hands on Apple, by the way, because Micah does all the Apple stuff. Hands on Windows with Paul Thurrott. You get the video for that. You also get special events in the Club Twit Discord. Oh, Discord's another benefit. Coming up Thursday, Richard Campbell has all the parts. He's going to build his new PC. We're excited about that. You can watch the Home Theater Geeks recording on Monday, July 28th. Our AI user group, it's the first Friday of every month. It'll be August 1st. That's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about hands-on AI with that. Hands-on Tech records monthly in the Discord, iOS Today. Stacy's Book Club's coming up on the 8th. This is How You Lose the Time. Or read that book, by the way. Jason agrees. It's really an excellent book. You know what I read, Jason? I've just finished. They mention in How You Lose the Time War a children's book called Travel Light. And I thought, well, I should read this. They really seem to like it. Both Red and Blue really seem to like it. And it's a great book. It came out in the 50s. I wish I'd known about it. I would have read it to my kids. Anyway, we'll talk about that August 8th, 1 p.m. Pacific. Right after that, Photo Time with Chris Marquardt. The Made by Google Pixel 10 announcements are August 20th. We'll stream that, as we always do, in the club only. Micah's Crafting Corner. Anyway, these are all reasons to join the club. Please visit twit.tv/clubtwit and do us a solid. Support the programming you love. Now, if you hate our programming, don't join the club. That's fine.
Or join the club just to spite us. That'll teach us a lesson.
Yes. And here is the president of Club Twit flying in on string. Thank you. Thank you for that, Adolfo Munoz. Or is that Pretty Fly for Us? This guy, is that your real name? Have I just outed you? Twit.tv/clubtwit. Thanks in advance. Time for our picks of the week. Andy Anatko, why don't you kick things off?
Mine is kind of esoteric. It's something I have absolutely no intention of buying, but I love the fact that it exists. I don't have it in the. I don't have it in my picks. I do have it in the showbiz section of the doc. They're making. There's a Kickstarter to manufacture the keyboards from Severance.
Are you going to buy an MDR keyboard?
Oh my God! No. Well, no, because and I'll wait. I'll wait to explain how much they cost. But that's probably the reason why I'm not going to get it. But oh my God, are they doing? It seems like they're doing this right. It seems to be like a 100% accurate reproduction of the keyboard. It's not like, hey, we 3D printed some stuff and we like we did. No, it's made out of like heavy aluminum. It is a murder weapon grade like construction. It is accurate to the key layout of the show, which means it has no escape, no control, no option. So that but does have an.
You don't need those. You need the trackball, though, right?
But does have a 2-button trackball. But the other cool thing about it is that there are extra layouts that you can use. So you can choose a layout that is, they call it there's the INI layout, which is the 100% reproduction. There is the Audi layout, which is a standard like compact keyboard, which has all like the function keys. So you can actually use it as a keyboard. And tickling my nerve endings, the Dasher layout. Remember that this terminal was based on a Data General Dasher D2 terminal. So if you want like the keyboard of the original Dasher D2,
oh wow,
you can get that as well. It's my understanding of it is that like these are actually like magnetically swappable. So it's not as though you have to pick one and go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so $10 will like get you on the list. I don't think they've actually launched yet, but is the Kickstarter page is open. If you're an early adopter, you get on the ground floor, $599. And then that will go up $50, then another $50 for people who come in late to $699 for the tier 2.
That makes my Hall Effect Wu-Ting HE60 seem cheap. And it was not cheap.
$899 retail, they're saying. And again, it's a choice for people who
really
have that
love
kind
the
of money.
show. Yeah.
And again, if that's the sort of thing where if I saw a Dasher keyboard at the MIT flea market, I would not care that I can't use it with anything. I would just want to own it because it looks like $1 million freaking dollars. It does have like the custom keycaps for the INI keyboard. So I just appreciate the fact that the price is really out there, but I appreciate the fact that they didn't decide to go just halfway with it, where they said, well, we got to know we contacted a factory in China that could give us like colored keycaps and could do us a run of rounded keyboards. It's like, no, it's either the real thing or it's not. And Jason's holding up that beautiful a custom keyboard with that same color scheme.
Yeah, you can get
and
on
the Commodore logo.
No, that's the 6 colors.
6 colors.
Oh, 6 colors.
6 colors logo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is you can get Dasher style keys at drop.com, which is what I did, and I put it on this Keychron Q1.
Nice.
And it's close enough for me, but it is definitely, I got it because these are the Severance keys. It's really nice.
Ooh. I actually replaced my Keychron Q because I wasn't very accurate with it for some reason. That's when I got the Wu-Ting 80HE, which is not cheap, but it's got Hall Effect switches and really nice.
Keyboards are like shoes, boots, or sneakers. You should put money into them because you are working with this all day long, and you have no idea what it's costing you to making you do with something that's cheap and hurting your hands or making you miskey.
Well, what was the issue is I was inaccurate with the, and I thought the Keychron was great. I loved how it felt, but
the worst part is it's such a hole that you just keep digging yourself into.
Yeah,
like I got into
better.
I started getting into Newfie boards, and so then I got the Newfie boards, but then I had the red switches on one of them, and then I bought one and I was like, I'll try the Moss switches. And I like the Moss so much better that now I look back at the red switches and I'm like, I used to not think about keyboards, and now I'm like, I don't like the red switch as much as the Moss switch.
I still have my code keyboard. I'm pleased to say that the backlighting on the D key keeps flickering on and off. That means I've been working very, very hard. I want you want the beat up cigarette stain, food crumbs everywhere that shows that whoever has to clean out your house after you die knows, okay, this guy
worked for a living.
Exactly. He was a working class man with working class hands, calloused from lots of typing.
This Wu-Ting is I got the zinc body, so it's really heavy.
Oh man.
But it is a very, very. With Hall effect switches, it's really nice. It's a nice keyboard, and it's not as clickety clackety as the Keychron was. But again, everybody's got their own,
I'm always trying to find the quietest one that I can find, and I just have a hard time.
So the
I
Hall
want it to be
effects
silent.
The Hall effects aren't too loud there.
Yeah, I don't want it to be like. I just want it to be, and I would buy glass if I could, but the glass ones are very hard to find and really expensive. They're like $300.
Well, and then I also use here, because we're on the air, I have to use a super quiet keyboard. That's the Logitech keyboard, and actually, this is a nice little keyboard, and it's pretty much silent, even though
super quiet.
Yeah, I like it, and I use it with the MX mouse and everything.
And which one is that?
Logitech.
Yeah, it's the Logitech MX Keys Mini. And one of the advantages, it supports 3 different Bluetooth connections, so you can have 3 computers.
So I think I have an earlier. I think I have an earlier version of that.
Yeah,
they also last really nicely.
Yeah, it's a nice keyboard. It's battery powered, but I keep it plugged in because I don't want it to die in the middle of the show. All right, your turn, Alex Lindsay.
I'm going back to an old one that I did many years ago that I'm still using. And I just realized I saw, like, I got my dad on it years and years ago. And I saw my, vacationing with my family last week. And he pulled out his iPad and went into Flipboard and started reading the news. And I realized he's still doing that. And I'm still like, it's like one of the news apps that I use. And the reason I'm doing, and I think I talked about it before, is that I just find it so pleasurable, and it seems like it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter that I just scroll up or whatever. There is something about the Flip experience, and when they took it away for a while, Flipboard had a whole bunch of articles on every page. Like when you first get into it, and I stopped using it for years, and I came back to it like, oh, am I going to get rid of this or not? And I popped it back up, and they had somehow gotten to their senses there, because it's the Flip that makes it work, and I don't know what it is, but I enjoy the Flipboard. There's things I don't like. I think they run too many ads. I think they do a bunch of other things that are there. But I think as a UI person, like thinking about UI, and if you're looking at it, I think it's worth getting Flipboard, because there's something that draws it to me that I don't find as pleasurable in any of the other news apps that I use. There's something about the Flip function that shouldn't matter. It's very old fashioned, and I don't like the page curl. Like, I just want to make sure it's clear. Like, it's whatever they did to get the Flip function to do the Flip thing exactly the way the Flipboard does it, I really enjoy. And I don't like almost anybody else's solution. And I've just realized that. So I'm more of like because again, there's things about it that make me a little crazy. The amount of ads, the way the ads get put in, anything other than one article per page drives me a little nutty. Like, I don't want to see, I like the experience. And if Flipboard had a version that I could pay for that never had any ads, that only had one article per page, I'd pay for that, because it's just, there's something about it that I really enjoy going through it and being able to, subscribe to different feeds and so on and so forth. But anyway,
100%. There's something about the way that you move from one article to the other in Flipboard that I don't think any other app like it has really matched. And it opened my eyes to how important that simple feature actually is. It's a pleasure to actually flip through it.
It's an amazing thing. We talked about that a little with Heston, one little problem. And it's amazing how you can build a product, and it doesn't take very much to have people just stop using it. Like Flipboard is a good example. They experimented with, everybody else was doing like many articles on one page. And so they experimented with that. And I literally, years went by before I went back to them.
We had the creator of Flipboard, Mike McHugh, on Intelligent Machines not so long ago. He has a new product you should probably look at called Surf, which is it's kind of, the idea is it's like Flipboard, but you get it from, remember Flipboard's original premise was it was all Twitter, right? And it's gone way beyond that. Yeah. But so Surf is still kind of that idea. Blue Sky, Mastodon, Threads. Flipboard is on at YouTube.
I mean, the funny thing about Flipboard is what I'm mostly reading are things that are functionally, what I want is RSS.
Is RSS, yeah.
But I want that very specific Flip function. And if I could just have a pure Flip function that Flipboard has, with just RSS, I don't really need to see people's tweets. I mean,
you can put RSS in this too, and you can use it as an RSS reader exclusively. Right. You get control of it. Just try it. It's free.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah. Surf.social. Surf.social. And, I think it's kind of, look, Mike is really smart and, he's done some really interesting stuff. I think Flipboard is a really good example of this. I think he thinks of this as his next thing. He was on Intelligent Machines about a month ago. Let's see, May 7th on Intelligent Machines 818. We talked to him. I really like Mike. But I like Flipboard. I think you're right. Flipboard's, it's funny how it's persisted after all this time. Jason Snell, your pick of the week.
Yeah, really quick one. There's a great app that's been out for a few years on iOS and iPadOS called Long Play, which is an album player instead of a music shuffler. It is aggressively about playing albums. You can also do playlists. Mac version just came out. It's pretty great. You can play music and albums and playlists and queue them up. And
wait a minute. So you're playing it through Apple Music, but it's making it an album? Is that the idea?
It was. So the idea here is that it'll read your Apple Music library, but it's its own standalone app, and it has an interface where it shows you album covers, and you can click on them. But everything is done atomically per album. So you listen to an album straight through. You don't shuffle it. You can skip tracks unless you put it in
hysterical.
In hard mode, in which case you can't. If you queue up another album, you queue up the next album. And on the Mac, this version. It supports AppleScript, it supports shortcuts, and it supports MCP. So you can actually launch Claude on the Mac and say, I'd like to listen. This is what I did. The first thing I did is I said, I'd like to listen to a classic album from a duo or group from the 80s. That's a pop album. And it was like, great, I'm playing Purple Rain. Here are some other albums that meet your criteria that are in your collection. Would you like me to play anything else? And I was like, sure, queue up Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears afterward. And it's like, great, I'll do that. And because MCP is basically the scripting language exposed for LLMs to use, you could actually have an LLM use the power of an LLM and knowledge of your library and control of this app to do things like recommend or create a collection for you or whatever. So it's very automatable. And it's kind of fun. There are moments when I just want to listen to an album straight through and I don't want to shuffle through a radio station or a playlist. And Long Play, it's a really nice player. It's really well designed. You got the controls and a piece of album art. And I think I said this a few years ago and it's quoted on their website now, but I say with great authority that Steve Jobs would have loved this app because Steve Jobs loved album art, and that is sort of the center of the UI of this. So if you like listening to albums straight through or even playlists that you've made straight through, this is what will do that, Long Play, and some really innovative automation stuff that I think points the way to the future of a lot of desktop apps.
This would be a good day to listen to Black Sabbath from beginning to end. Yeah. How about that? Pick
a classic album or pick Ozzy Osbourne's solo album, the first one that has Crazy Train on it.
Which is, it's funny. He really, as great as he was in Sabbath, he was even better as a solo artist. It was kind of amazing.
You play it straight through. And it really takes me back to, I realized that, I'm of a certain age where actually the CD era really means a lot to me. And that was literally you press play and then the whole thing unfolds till the end. And you could skip and stuff. But, and there are albums that are built that way. Not everybody listens to music like this. And I don't even listen to music like this exclusively, but it is fun to say, I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to play that one start to finish.
So if you don't own the whole album, though, like if you didn't buy it. It supports
Apple Music. If it's in your library, it will play it for you. It supports Apple Music.
In your library. But I never bought Blizzard of Oz, but I could get it on Apple Music.
You just added an Apple Music and then it's in Long Play.
Okay, then it counts.
Yep.
I have to do that tonight. That's awesome.
And it does some other stuff. It scrobbles to Last FM and stuff like that. It's got a bunch of other
people still scrobble?
People do. They're scrobbling. They're out there every day. They're scrobbling, Leo.
I follow you, of course. So I don't need to scrobble you. $5.99 for the app.
And $25 straight up, no subscrition for the Mac app.
I might do that because just get it on the Mac because
I listen to most of my music on the Mac. So yeah,
Vision Pro version.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, the Mac one, Adrian, who wrote this, has done a lot of work, and it's taken him a few years. And there's still some bugs that, there's one bug that he's been fighting that is finally fixed in Tahoe that allows him to do something he couldn't do up to now. But it's great that it's out, and I was just using it earlier today to listen to I.O. by Peter Gabriel. So,
I love that's one of my favorite albums of all time.
So,
and it has to be listened to as an album. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's a journey you can take, and not always in that mood, but if you're in that mood a lot, great. And also really nice to see a good new Mac app, and it feels like a Mac app. And the fact that he had to find like the gray heads of the Apple community to tell him how to do AppleScript, because he wanted to have it be integrated with Alfred, I think. And so AppleScript he had to do, and then he did shortcuts. So it's past, present, and then with MCP to be able to have an LLM control it. That's the future. So yeah, really interesting stuff.
Yeah. Norman Maslov loves it. You're right. You love it, Maslov, don't you? He said, "What a concept! Listening to a whole album." He's our vinyl expert. That's all he ever listens to.
I know, it's good. So it feels like that. Yeah. It feels, with that, and the album art stays up, and it's really nice.
I'm going to have an Ozfest in my house tonight in August. Yeah. Thank you so much. Jason Snell is at sixcolors.com. Read all his good stuff. His podcasts are at sixcolors.com/Jason.
Hope to have thousands of words about the public beta out whenever that happens.
He's you started it, didn't you? Just pretending that this beta that you have now is the public beta, and you're starting it.
I've been writing about for the public beta release for like 3 weeks now. I would really like it to be done.
Right.
I've got them ready to go. Honestly, I just have to check them against the latest beta.
Vanch in our Discord wants to know dark side mix or the bright side mix.
I'll listen to the bright side mix today because I'm in that mood, Leo. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the bright side mix. It's nice you get your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty close.
Peter Gabriel's amazing. I wish he would tour on this. He was gonna, but I don't think he did. Mr. Alexander Lindsay is the man.
So many things.
At officehours.global.
We're answering questions. We got up this morning. We answered more questions.
There is a never-ending supply, isn't it?
You just keep hammering at that coal seam day in, day out.
We've gone over. We're well over 55,000 questions, and we keep thinking that someday we're going to come and there's not going to be any questions. And we're like, we got to the end. There's no more. Everybody knows all the things, and it just hasn't happened yet. So every morning, 7 a.m., we get up again and start digging, seeing if we can find the core. We haven't found it yet. So.
Officehours.global on the web, Office Hours Global on YouTube. You can also join in if you want. It's a giant Zoom call every morning.
It's so much fun. The panelists are like their own little group of folks that are willing to get up and answer questions. And one of the things is it's the easiest place to look good because you only have to, we very carefully know who gets to answer what. So it's a big panel. I think we had 8 or 10 people on today. And people just raise their hand on the ones that they can answer. So you only have to.
You never look dumb.
You never look dumb. You always.
Unlike me on my radio show, where it was just me
that's hard. I
didn't get to choose the questions. Just like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's
and I didn't even have AI back in the day to help me. Yeah. Thank God I had Google. That's all I can say. Officehours.global. Andy Anako. Well,
the thing is now that I'm this close, I keep finding things that need to be fixed. I'm gonna be putting something in the Discord. So the last thing was I discovered that the cover picture that I was using because it's my favorite picture of myself ever. I can't use it anymore because it's a picture of myself at the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, and I look outstanding, but I really, really shouldn't. Now me in the White House. It has
a connotation you perhaps don't want to perpetuate.
So it's not starting all over again by any means. It's just like, okay, so now that I've taken that down, I'll put something else in its place. I'm sorry that I keep saying it's very, very close. It's just that again, we're now at the point where okay, so I just got to do this, and then I can go open up. Ooh, right, but that's going to fail. Damn it. Okay, so I'll do that. And unfortunately, it's juggling other things too that have to be done as well. And I always feel like if I have a deadline to other people to deliver stuff, that has to take priority. And then I'm like, but what time is? Anyway, I'm sorry. This is not a scam. I am actually working. I am actually going to be opening this site very, very soon. But we're fortunately now at the point where it's little things like this, not the big things that need to be solved.
Oh, I just launched Long Play. I like this. It's showing all my album covers.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And you can sort them. You can have your favorites bigger or recents bigger, and you can sort them by different ways, recent or neglected or color or it's pretty wild. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. If you're going to listen to Frampton Comes Alive, you got to start at the beginning.
You'll lose track otherwise. Yeah, it's very confusing. It's not much of a live show if it's shuffled.
Yeah, don't shuffle live shows. Good Lord, man. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you especially to our wonderful panelists who join us every Tuesday. You guys rock. Jason Snell at sixcolors.com. Andy Anatko at I have no idea how to spell it.com. No, IHNATKO. And officehours.global's Alex Lindsay. We do the show every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. If you would like to join us, we'd love to have you. All you got to do is go to YouTube or Twitch or X.com or Facebook or LinkedIn or Kick or TikTok. We stream on all those platforms. And of course, if you're in the club, you got that special behind the velvet rope access in the Club Twit Discord. After the fact, you could still watch the show, just, not interactively. You listen on demand, as they say. There's a copy of the show, audio or video, at twit.tv/MBW. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to the video. There's also a subscription you could for free in your favorite podcast player. Pocket Cast, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, whatever you like. Subscribe. You'll get it automatically then the minute it's done. Please leave us a nice review, if you will. It helps us spread the word about the best darn Vision Pro show in the whole wide world. You know what I like about this long play? I'm discovering albums because I see the album art and I go, oh, I forgot about that. I love that.
Yeah,
album.
one of the modes that you can sort by is called Neglect, and it puts albums of yours you haven't played in a while up toward the top. It's really smart. Yeah, there's a bunch of great stuff in it. Check it out.
This is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing when you go away from playlists or individual tracks and you start saying, no, I'm going to listen to this entire album from track one to track end.
It's a big difference.
And it's like, wow, I had no idea that this was more than just two of the songs I like. This is actually a good album.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you to our club members. You guys rock. Twit.tv/clubtwit. Keep your membership up to date. It makes a big difference to us. Thanks to everybody for being here. We'll see you next week, but I am sorry to say it is my sad and solemn duty to tell you it's time to get back to work because break time is over. Bye-bye. Get your tech news exactly how you want it with Twit.tv. Tech News Weekly with Micah Sargent delivers quick hit coverage and exclusive journalist interviews, giving you the inside scoop on breaking tech stories in under an hour. Now, for deeper dives, I hope you'll join me, Leo Laporte, and a great panel of tech industry experts. That's every Sunday with This Week in Tech. We'll break down everything from AI breakthroughs to privacy concerns to cybersecurity alerts in the tech world's longest-running and most trusted tech news roundtable. So, efficient or in-depth? The choice is yours. Subscribe to both shows wherever you get your podcasts and head on over to our website, twit.tv, for even more independent tech journalism.